Are we still rolling?
We are, mate. We are. Right, Mossy, we are almost 4 hours. Are we just accepting the fact that this is going to be a record breaker and cracking on?
Fucking
Or do you
why
want
are
to?
we are? Fucking
Right.
why are we?
I think then, folks,
This is the dark art of bike discussion.
this is a Le Mans 24 hour of podcasts. What we
Well
might do,
done.
depending on the final length of this, is I might split it
Yeah.
into two. We'll see. We'll see. But anyway, right. I think we've done about 3 questions in the last 4 hours. And there's about 50 questions to get through.
Oh, right, go on then. Let's have a. Well,
Well, no, you brought up is the world fucked, basically.
I think it is.
Do you?
Right. Yeah, I do. Listen, there's a lot of good people, but they're not in charge, are they? They're not influential enough. Hopefully, it will, after going through some fairly serious trauma, which I think is inevitable, will be intelligent enough to do something about things and mend our ways. But do you know what? I'm in the Pyrenees off-roading with some people. Do you know who Russell Benny is? Phase 1 Endurance?
No, I don't know.
I've decided you know fuck all, Bruce.
I do, mate. Honestly, I am just relatively new to biking and talk funny and have a big beard. And that's why people watch my videos. I am by no means an expert at anything.
I am shit. I know fuck all, but I'm making enough money out of being shit and knowing fuck all to count. So it doesn't matter.
Living like a rock star, me. Yeah.
Russell Benny is a great guy who runs the Phase 1 Endurance team. And I went trail riding with him and a few mates in the Pyrenees several years ago. And during one of our breaks, which you occasionally have to have because you're just too knackered to continue without them, we're chewing the fat a bit, having a drink, and middle of nowhere. And I just said, how long for the human race then, Russell? He said, well, we're running out of food, climate change, possible nuclear activity, general unrest, migration, and all the problems that brings. 200 years. At which point I said, fucking hell, better get back on the bikes and get cracking again then. But joking aside, I see some gravity and relevance in what he said there, yeah. We're just fucking the whole thing. So we're an enemy, aren't we, to ourselves?
I think it's cyclical. I really do. I think we've gone through this over, over the last however many hundreds of thousands of years that we've been on this, or millions of years that we've been on this planet. I think it's just a cyclical thing. I think we get to a stage where we're very advanced, and then for whatever reason we fuck it up, or there's an exterior circumstance.
I think you have a very strong and relevant point there, but we didn't face the consequences of climate change in any previous major.
How do you know?
Period of what? Well,
have you heard of the Younger Dryas impact? Have you heard about that?
This is going to be a fucking short chat, is it?
No, this is going to be a long one. We need some weed for this. We need to get into this. Right, okay.
You have just said the most magical word, you fuck. Right, is Maidstone anywhere near Cirencester?
I'll have to come to you and do this in person next time.
Definitely. Go on.
Right. Younger Dryas impact. What the well,
say that again. Younger drivers impact.
Younger Dryas impact. It's a Younger Dryas impact theory. And what that suggests is about 12,000 years ago, the Earth was bombarded by lots of meteors, asteroids. There was a sudden and prolonged impact on.
Is this death of the dinosaur?
Not 12,000 years ago. No. Right. So, and you can see this. I think there's something like 4 or 5 different places around the world where you can actually see, geologically, you can see in the Earth's crust, there's a black band which dates back to roughly around about 12,000 years ago in all these different locations around the world. And it's got like the special type of glass and crystals in it, which is only created from severe and sudden heat. You know, so the theory is the Earth got bombarded by all these asteroids, which caused a sudden rise in temperature. No, speaking out my arse, I'm talking bollocks, which caused all the dust and everything that rose up, blocks out the sun, which then puts us into an ice age.
Yeah.
A couple of thousand years after that, I can't remember what the theory is, but there's a sudden rise in temperature over the course of, I think they're talking, one person I've heard said they reckon it was like in a matter of hours, and other people have said, no, it's hundreds of years, if not thousands of years. But the temperature's raised, which has caused the ice caps to melt, which has caused a massive sudden influx of water, the great floods, which has then come in and wiped out civilization, you know, and whoever's been left who's got through it has basically, we've restarted again. And what they're thinking is
created today's society.
Well, I've through time, yeah, because there's more and more historians and Jesus Christ, archaeologists now who are starting to look at the evidence and looking at things like the pyramids and even older buildings and temples that are all around the world. And they all seem to have some common connection where they're looking back to a certain time period, which all seems to be about 12,000 years ago. They all, like ancient scripts and stuff, all seem to refer to a big flood. We have Noah and the Ark, but lots of different religions and societies.
Civilization was in place at the time of all these.
Yes, that's what they seem to think, because
events, right?
Yeah, and it's causing a real stir, because the common theory up until recently has been that modern civilization's only about 6,000 years old, whereas there's couple of hundred archaeologists and scientists who are now going, actually, the data is suggesting it's a lot older than that. And at least 12,000 years, but some are even going to 300,000 years. You know, they're going like, we could have had civilizations going back hundreds of thousands of years, developed civilizations. But obviously, you know, if you think, taking it to the extreme, if you were to go to today's modern society, do we write anything down on paper anymore? No, it's all digital, isn't it? Everything's digital. So if we got wiped out by a big flood or meteorite attacks, if you fast forward over 50,000 years, 100,000 years, what's going to be left? Nothing. Everything will have disappeared. So there's no record of that anymore, is there? And it's kind of conspiracy theory, but the science is there.
I think you need to be that open-minded. I mean, you know, we're a long, long way from knowing everything, aren't we? Particularly about historic events.
Yeah. Have you seen the Netflix series called Ancient Apocalypse?
No.
You need to. Have you got Netflix?
No. Well, well, everybody has access to it. I don't watch it.
Right.
Ancient
Apocalypse. You might even be able to watch it on YouTube. Somebody might have a hooky. I think it's about 8 episodes, and it's an investigative journalist called Graham Hancock, and he has dedicated like decades of his life into this, and he's the one that's been all around the world speaking with various different archaeologists. He's a professional diver, scuba diver, so he's like, he mentions Atlantis, and the second you mention Atlantis, he's like, it's career suicide. Everyone thinks you're an idiot, but he's like, just have a look at the facts here. And it's just a really interesting 8-episode series that tackles lots of different ancient sites around the world and the evidence around them.
In answer to my question then about the future of the human race, is it perhaps going to be altered quite significantly, this global society? You know, are we going to be tested again by...
undoubtedly, I think. Undoubtedly. Whether it's from natural events or is it going to be... Or is it going to be a nuclear apocalypse? To be honest, we're on the precipice of that as we speak, aren't we?
I'll tell you, isn't it odd? Nobody gives the Ukraine any attention now, do they?
No.
Strictly speaking, you could get a news flash, though we'd never hear it because we're too busy fucking engrossed in our conversation. There could be a news flash right now saying that Putin's just bombed fucking London or whatever.
Could be. Yeah. I mean, we are close to it.
Yeah. I mean, I know we've been close to that before, arguably. In fact, well, we've been beyond close, haven't we? Because we've had 2 nuclear weapons, decimated. But I just think the attitude of the human being is it's rather flawed, isn't it? You get people like Putin who just amass huge power, aren't very rational with how they sort of exercise that power. I mean, it's easy to argue that he's just one big egotistical fucking fruitcake.
Are they not all?
Yeah.
Have you ever been? Have you been to Russia? Have you been to Russia?
Never been. Would be fascinating.
Russia was one of the biggest surprises for me. I went there with the attitude that not Russians are the enemy. Yeah. I not that the Russians were the enemy, but I grew up thinking that Russia was the enemy. Russia was different to
we were
all
conditioned
of this.
to think that.
We were in the Cold War, weren't we? Yeah. When I got there, Russians were some of the most friendly and hospitable people I met on the planet. They're quite guarded. Like for the first 4 or 5 minutes when you meet Russians, they're like a brick wall. You don't really get too much from them. But once they decide they like you, literally shirt off the back, here's my house, it is yours, come on.
How did you communicate well enough for them to get any impression of you?
Again, a lot speak English, particularly the younger generations. Otherwise, you just do the old drink. That is a drink, by the way. I'm not looking at someone else. But drink, chicken, food. You just do that. And I literally had a conversation one time. I got taken back to the wooden shack in the woods by a guy that saw me at a petrol station. He pointed at my number plate, said something in Russian. I was like, Scotia, Scottish, you speak English? He was like, no. I had the map on the back of my helmet showing the route that I was doing, so I pointed at that. He did this, like, where you sleeping? Pointed at the tent on the front of my bike, and he was like, no. And he was like, this. Come.
Yeah, but I
followed him. Ended up in his shack.
Stop. You know the happy ending to this story, but at that point, I'd be going, this bloke wants to be in my arse or something, or he wants to.
But that's what I'm saying about, like, travel changes you. Like, I would never have done that until I travelled. But once you're traveling and then you're on the road and you realise that, generally people aren't the enemy. People aren't a threat. You have to listen to your spidey senses for sure. If you get the feeling this doesn't seem right, then go with that feeling, I would suggest. But a lot of the time, I was just running with it. You just be like, yeah, okay, right, fine. At the end of the day, I'm a 6'3", 20-stone geezer. So, this guy was considerably smaller than me. So unless he's got a shooter on him, then I fancy me chances. But I went back to the maybe not nowadays, because everyone knows fucking jiu-jitsu and all the rest of it now, don't they?
You do that as well, yeah?
No, I don't. Jesus, no, I don't. I don't. But I ended up back at this, like, wooden hut in the woods that is his home, and his missus is in there cooking over the stove when we went in. She doesn't speak any English. And he says something to her, and I can see by the look on her face, she's looking at me and kind of going, hi, and looking at him like, what are you doing? What have you brought home? And we spent a whole evening where they fed me, the vodka came out, we had a whole evening communicating with me not speaking Russian, them not speaking English, and yet we had a great time. We laughed. In the morning, I woke up and carried off on a bike. And you're just like, that's awesome. It can be done. But what were we talking about? The end of civilization. Yes, I tell you something that does give me hope at the moment. Have you seen over in the States the new presidential candidate, Robert Kennedy Jr.?
I know who he is, but I haven't listened to him.
So he's JFK's nephew, and he's Bobby Kennedy's son. He's running for presidency at the moment.
How old is he? How old is he?
I think he's 65.
I was going to say Bobby Kennedy got assassinated in 1968, didn't he?
Yeah. Not long after JFK. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah, 5 years.
Yeah, he's in his 60s, but he looks incredible. He's got something wrong with his throat, so he's got a really croaky voice. Yeah. But he's like absolutely chiseled. Do you know what I mean? Like the guy is in the prime of his life.
Yeah,
but he's sorry, go on.
No, you go on. You're a fan, obviously.
I am now. I've listened to a couple of podcasts. He was on a Joe Rogan podcast, and I've just listened to him on a guy called Lex Ferryman. I've listened to him on his podcast, and he fights Big Pharma. He fights all the big oil companies. He's running for presidency, I think, as an independent, and he's entirely funded by the public. He's not taking any donations from big companies and corporations. It's purely off the back of the public. And, you know,
let me ask you a question. Aren't those guys in the aforementioned industries, much as they are in most Western sort of civilization, aren't they extremely powerful and influential?
Massively. Massively.
Yeah, but ultimately, don't they get the president that they want?
Yes.
Yeah. Now, what's Robert Kennedy Jr.'s chances of achieving?
Because if we truly do live in a democracy where it's the people's vote that determines who gets in, if the people decide in sufficient numbers that they want him in, he'll get in.
And what do you think the chances of that are?
I genuinely think they're really high. I thought Trump would win when all my American mates were like, not a chance. And I was like, do you not see the current feeling in the people, like in America? Yeah. And I've got that same feeling with Kennedy. I just think people have had it. People are fed up. People are fed up of constant war. They're fed up of all this apparent tolerance that is getting rammed down everyone's neck at the moment, to the extent where I think people are becoming even less tolerant because it's being forced upon people. Yeah. And I just think he, as a non-American and someone that's not even going to vote, he seems to offer something fresh and something, what's the word? Untainted. Do you know what I mean? He doesn't look like he's influenced by all these outside influences that seem to have given us the politics we currently have.
How popular is he?
Massively. He's growing massively. I think he's winning all the polls at present.
And which party is he representing? The Democrats?
No, I think he's going independent, which I don't know how that's going to work. I could be wrong. I'm not sure if he's Democrat, Republic, or what.
I do take your point. We are ripe for change. People don't believe quite rightly in the current system. The current system is bent and ineffective, isn't it? It's a proven failure.
And we all know it now.
Yeah.
There's no hiding it.
I wish we could get somebody like Robert Kennedy Jr. to offer us hope here.
I do.
I mean, I'm going, where the fuck do I go? You know, which cross do I put in which box?
Same.
Is it next year?
God, is general next year?
I think 24,
Yeah, but I'm the same. There's nobody out there that offers a solution at the moment. There's not. But I think if Kennedy was to get in the States, that might kickstart it. I've always said to people, the power is with the people. Not this, but, you know, the power is with the people. It's like the politicians are just us.
I'll tell you the problem with the people, though. I don't think they realise that.
No, I don't. I think you're right.
You know, ultimately, I think we've got what we deserved for the last 100 years or so because we're not making a stand against it.
We're apathetic to everything.
Terrible.
Totally. We know stuff isn't right, but we do nothing about it.
We mourn on YouTube channels and down the pub and in the backs of taxis, etc.
Everyone takes the piss out the French, but they're out there setting fire to shit and making a change.
I love them for that, you know. You want to do that, dear? Well, fucking watch this then.
Exactly.
I need to learn that in French.
Well, fucking watch this.
Well, just, you want to do that, dear? Well, fucking watch this.
Mert, regardez,
yeah.
le.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. We've gone off on a massive tangent. Let's get back to questions.
Good.
Right. Cheers for that one, Patrick.
Like they're going to be easier. Like Patrick and his £7,000 bike. Well, £7,000 bike, and what do you do with it? We've had, haven't we?
That was Chris. Patrick was bike launches. It's about an hour ago we were chatting about that.
Yeah. Did we?
Right, next one.
Did you answer that, or did we answer it as a? I mean, did we answer it? I mean,
I think so. Oh no, there was a second part of it. If you worked for a manufacturer, what kind of bike do you think is genuinely missing from the market today that would sell well?
Fucking hell. Another great question. I mean, to a degree, and I think sales figures in Europe have proved this. That NC750X, just an absolute workhorse of a motorbike. That doesn't have the best dynamic performance, but is very sort of usable, practical. Have you ever tested one?
I've ridden them. I've ridden them over in the Canaries. Well, right, NC750 I've ridden, yeah.
You know about the tank compartment?
Yeah.
That is the best fucking thing in motorcycling, I'll tell you.
The boot in the tank. Yeah.
Frunk, I think they call it, don't they?
The frunk.
Frunk. Like front, I don't know, front boot, whatever. I'm embarrassed to say that I just think that's as fucking important as rising rate fucking suspension.
Mate, we're getting old. I
like the fact that you can wheel up a Lidl and just put a load of shit in there and ride away, without
I know what you mean.
A motorcycle that can be used, that can be practical, I mean, to a degree, the maxi scooter does this. I mean, you've seen how popular they are in big cities like Paris and Barcelona. I think they are making. Repeat the question again, please, in detail.
If you worked for a manufacturer, what kind of bike do you think is genuinely missing from the market today that would sell well?
I don't think there is a bike missing as such. Do you? I think all bases are covered. But
I agree with you.
Yeah,
I think the current appetite at the moment is probably more all mouth and no trousers. People seem to be attracted by the big figures when that doesn't make an engaging ride. It helps in some bikes.
But don't forget anything outside that, sort of cheap commuter or more basic sort of oldie worldy thing, maxi scooters, Royal Enfields, NC750Xs, little 125 things. The bases are covered. I think what I'd like. Did Patrick ask that question?
Yeah, he did. Yeah,
I'd like Patrick to come back to us with what he thinks, because I'd be really quite keen to learn if there is a hole in the market that isn't covered, because I don't.
Interesting. Yeah.
But is that because my imagination's poor? I don't know. If it's because of that.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, I think sometimes because, like me to a lesser extent, but you especially, we're involved in the bike industry, aren't we? And you touched on this earlier, where you get wrapped up in it, don't you? And you're not getting that full picture of what's going on. Possibly,
you're not seeing it from a motorcyclist point of view.
Yeah,
we're in this sort of this little bubble, aren't we? We're in this surreal world. What's this sort of? I'm trying to think of the expression. This sort of rarefied zone, if you like, and we're not qualified to answer quite a few questions, But yeah, I'd like Patrick to come up with something, and I'd love him to come up with something that makes me go, "Fucking hell!" Do you know what? Bang on, mate.
Right, Patrick. If you're watching the video, leave us a comment in the comments. Funnily enough.
But by the way, are you certain that you can still hear me and I will be able to be recorded, etc.? Because I know you haven't got the headphones on, or are you looking at little graphs?
There you go. Look, see.
Oh, sorry, I beg your pardon.
Yeah, so I've got them in. Yeah, I can hear you fine. Yeah, I'm still
So,
recording. All good.
Yeah, because let's face it, I don't think we could do this again in our
This is going to be a mammoth one, this.
No,
Right.
no, I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying it.
Me
Next
too, mate.
question.
Me too. Next one,
question.
Dave Wateritt. Evening, gents.
Right,
You
Dave.
can have any three bikes, track, road, and Bruce's favourite, off-road. What are you choosing, and where in the world are you riding them? Keep up the good work.
Yeah. Right, again, road, off-road, and what? And track?
Track, yeah. So I'm assuming any bike for track, any bike for road, any bike for off-road. Which ones would they be, and where are you going?
Okay, you get some good questions here, don't you?
They are good. They are good.
There is an intrinsic link between good and fucking almost impossible to answer.
Well, this has been going on nearly 3 years now. You know, this is episode 129. So I do find with the questions, people put quite a bit of thought into some of the questions. So
yeah, but no, they're really good. Right, road. Fucking hell. Let's go for off-road first.
Mm-hmm.
I would like, I think I've answered this already. I want a Tenere 700 off-road because I want to be able to go far with my off-roading. You know, another favourite of mine is something like the fuel-injected two-stroke KTMs and Huskies.
Mm-hmm.
They've just changed the name of them. They used to be KTM 250i and KTM 250 TPI, but they've changed it because they've altered the way they inject the fuel now, or the position from which they inject it. Fuck me, I'm interested, aren't
I? Just switched off, God.
That's a proper enduro bike. I like that, but I don't like the fact that that is limited and needs a van to cart it to various...
Yeah, got you.
Well, I mean, that's one thing I liked about my V-Strom today. You know, I'm going down these fairly easy lanes.
You like the V-Strom, don't you? You like it.
I love it. But it's my bike, you see. It's my little sort of puppy, if you like, for the next year. But one of the things I liked was, you know what, I get to the end of this and I just ride home. I don't go back to my van and fucking change and load it in the back. There's a bit to be said for that. That's a good thing as well. It's quite, it's part of the experience. But there's something to be said. So Tenere 700, and do we need to? And I want to ride it to Morocco. I want to ride it down to. I want to find out where I'm working on an unlimited budget here, and the thing is, because it's unlimited, I can do what the fuck I want. I don't have to care about the road and track bikes now because I'm too busy. I'm joking. I'll come with this. I want to find out what the TET is through France and Spain to get to Morocco. I need a guide. I want to just concentrate on the riding. And ideally, I need to ride with other people as well. But Tenere 700. Maybe Tenere 700 World Raid as well.
Okay.
Look, big tank, different suspension.
Yeah.
Right, that's good. Road
track.
Bike.
Okay, road.
Road. Come back to that. Track now. I want something that isn't too mental, you know. I want... Do you know what? I'd be interested in getting... This is just my first answer, right? I'd be interested in getting something like a GSX 8S and chucking quite a bit of money at it, you know? Throwing some decent suspension, wheels, brakes, just sort of upgrade it a bit. But I rode an R7 for the first time around Donnick the other day, and I discovered two things. First thing is I'm too old and unfit to ride anything much more powerful effectively. Look, I could probably do 3 whole laps on a superbike before I had to fucking pull in, have a puff on my ventilator. But I have to accept that, listen, I did all right at racing at club level, at least, just club level. I was never going to be a big fish. But those days of me ever being fast are gone. You know, it's still good fun. On that track day, I still, enjoyed it, but I didn't have the pressure of trying to win or be serious about it or hang on to some bloody rocket ship. I just enjoyed the fact that I had a very basic sort of 100, well, in fact, an R7's about, it's only 70 horsepower, isn't it? A
Jesus,
GSX,
is it?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's 72 horsepower. Same engine as a 10-rate. The GSX 8S is slightly more. Again, this is probably something I'd give a slightly different answer to if I had a bit more time or was given a bit more time, but we haven't got that. So, yeah, GSX 8S with some money because, A, I could make it, I like the basic bike, and B, I could tartan it up quite a bit, and that'd make me happy as well, you know? Just modify it so it would be mine and it would be
Making
better.
It yours. Yeah.
Yeah, be better in the areas that I wanted it to be. Listen, stuff like GSXRs, I've still got a soft spot for a GSXR 1000, you know,
Love it.
And it's a great bike. Can I tell you a little story about that?
Go on.
I thought I was done with superbikes, particularly on the road, because, as we said earlier, they're just too mental, too readily. Yeah. I phoned up James Sharp, right? I've got a V-Strom 650 long-termer, and for about 2 months he's been asking for it back, and I've not really responded properly, i.e. I haven't returned it. So he said, look, I need that bike back this Thursday without question. There's a deadline for budgetary reasons. You know, it needs to be got shot off or something, or taken off the list of bikes that Suzuki own for tax purposes. Anyway, I said, okay. I said, my van's off the road. I need to ride it up. Is there anything you've got for me? And he said, look, I've got a GSX-R 1000R. I said, mate, fuck off, not interested. He said, well, it's either that or you take the bus, you know. So I got on it. And you know what? Have you been to Suzuki up there in Milton Keynes?
There's a bit of a story, but no, Suzuki don't do anything with me at all.
Okay.
Sadly.
There's a few roundabouts in Milton Keynes. I go around the very first one and I go, fucking hell, man, this steering, everything's just right about it. And then I get on the power, it's like, you know, and within 5 miles, I'm just going, it's not the ultimate in bikes, but this is a fucking very finely engineered, sorted motorcycle. This is a fucking joy to be on.
You feel connected with a Jigsaw as well, don't you, I find?
Completely. And I haven't even started to go daft on it, but I'm already... This is a bike that you can appreciate just even at the fucking speed limit because it's so good and balanced. And the best thing about the GSX-R I like is it's got a bit of comfort.
Yeah.
And it's not too mental. And that turned out to be its biggest selling point and what led to this subsequent story. I'm due to go to see Mick Extons to do something with him. He's doing a Dakar launch. All the Brit riders had got together and we're doing a launch in Wales. A bit of a presentation before they all went off. Anyway, I went to that on the GSX-R and I went, fucking hell, this is quite good at mileage. I'm quite enjoying this. And I like the fact that when I squirt it, it responds and all the aforementioned things about it being just a very special bit of kit. And then a mate phones up and he says, we're spending a few days in Scotland. Do you want to come? And I actually said, and I mean, get this is a man who hated the idea of riding a superbike anywhere only a few days earlier. He says, we're going to Scotland for a few days. And I go, I've got just the bike. Anyway, I ordered a Ventura backpack. Do you know those?
Yeah, really, had one.
Really great system. I stick that on the back and I go to Scotland. We end up we don't go to Orkney on that one, but we do a lot of miles around Scotland and it's perfectly comfortable. It's perfectly agreeable, but it's as stimulating as I fancy as well whenever I want it.
Absolutely.
That was the sportiest sports tourer I've ever gone anywhere. So why the fuck did I mention that?
Road bike. Road bike.
I'll have one of them. I'll have one of them.
Man after my own heart. My current one, I've got 100,800 and something miles on it.
Say that again. 108,000 miles.
No, 100,800 and something miles. My Jigsaw's got on it.
Is this the one you've gone around the world on then?
Yeah. I'm getting her back on the road now. She's. I'm just doing a sort of series, getting her back up to the. She needed nothing. Literally, I'm saying my mate's a mechanic, a Suzuki mechanic. He came and had a look at it.
I've seen this reference actually. I must have read it or when I was researching you. Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah. He put a new battery on, and she fired up straight away.
Is it burn oil?
No, we've just changed everything. He did a full service on it last week. All that's left to do now is one of the rear suspension linkages has seized.
Yeah.
And we can't. There's a bolt with a bush on it within the linkage. Yep. Well, the bush has welded to the bolt effectively, so we can't get the bolt out. We've tried smashing it with a hammer. We've done all sorts. We can't get it out. So what we're going to have to do is cut it somehow out and then replace the linkage. So that's going to be the next thing we're doing.
You'll be fine, won't you? You'll be fine. Which model is it?
It's a 61 plate GSX-R1000. So no traction control, nothing, no electronics whatsoever, no ABS.
Is that an LO or something? Or
that was L1. That was an L1. That one.
What did it go up to? Did it go up to L4 or 5 or something?
No, the most recent one would be L9, wouldn't it? 2019.
So it did go right.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. I think the last one was 2019. Oh no, hang on. They stopped it last year. Yeah. So it must have gone to. There must be something after L. I don't know what that would be.
They didn't really develop it anymore, did they? After something.
Yeah, good point.
When was the development ceiling, so to speak? Was that about 19? When did the latest version come out? Was it 19?
I took out a new 1000R. I took a new 1000R out a week before I took the RR out, the S1000RR. That was 2019. So yeah. I don't think it changed after that.
I tested the Suzuki against some of the flashier things once on a road test, and it did feel a bit weighty and more pedestrian, but sometimes that sort of that inferiority, and that's a general term, and it's certainly not to be taken literally, doesn't matter at all when you're riding that bike in isolation, does it? I like the fact that it's still a very good road bike, isn't it?
Yeah.
The
absolutely.
other stuff's too extreme.
Yeah.
I did.
Go on.
I did like that Big Bang R1 when it first came out. I don't know if it's 2010 or something.
I've never ridden one. I've never ridden one.
Have you ridden an MT10?
No, still haven't ridden one of them either. Right, everyone keeps telling me I need to.
You must. Do you know what? I'm not a fan of four-cylinder engines at all. I don't like the fact that, though a lot of them have some decent bottom end, it's only when all four cylinders start working together at higher RPM that they deliver the best. The best thing about the Big Bang Yamaha motors is you get it straight away. You know, on a four-cylinder superbike, when the lights changed, you've just got to be on the clutch a bit.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you can't just give it a big handful because you don't get the response that you need. You don't get that sharpness on that MT10 of the R1, just straight there. Brilliant bike.
I need to ride one. Yamaha they're opening up towards all of us sort of YouTube-y lot now. So
I saw that. Did you go down to that gig that Potsky Media?
No, I didn't.
Why not?
I've made a rod for my own back here, but I don't. If it's a big PR thing where everyone else is going, I just kind of go. I'm not really interested. I don't want to be part of that because all that'll happen is all of us will produce content on the same thing at the same time.
Same so you end up with same images,
and I'm just like, I'm not really interested in that. I'd rather wait and then get the bike and, as we said, live with it, have it for a 2-week loan, and go out there and do a couple of 1,000 mile if I can on the bloody thing.
I mean, that's what I prefer. Was it Patrick who was asking about the launches?
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Yeah, I wish, and I wish you could just take the bike away for 2 weeks. That was the launch, rather than the subsequent test that allows you to do that.
Yeah,
I would rather your first experience of it would be over a longer period. However, what would happen then is MCN would just do it in a day. They'd ride it for a day and go to press.
Yeah.
Nobody, you'd have to put an embargo on the. That's the only way that I'd happen. You give the press each bike for 2 weeks, and you'd put an embargo on. 14 days after you handed the bikes over.
Yeah. So you can't produce any content until this date. Gosh, yeah.
But the problem is the new bikes come out when the weather's shit in the UK. So.
Yeah. Very true.
I wish I'd said this actually earlier. You know, when COVID was on, there was a few Brit launches.
Yeah.
They were really good.
Because there's no bugger about.
Wasn't that so much? It was like, I said this, Tracer 9 GT I did. There's a few. And I just said, this is a proper British, authentic, British weather, British roads, British traffic test. This is as good as it's getting. Well, this is as good as we can achieve. And yeah, a bit more of that. Thanks a lot. Because, listen, I've been on a few launches, two notable. Went on a GSXR 750S ride. We're going back a long time here, I know. 95. I'm choosing these two as sort of extreme examples, really. Rode it at Mazzano. Thought it was amazing, this new super sharp next big thing from Suzuki, next big thing for the superbike category. This was a blade matcher, if not beater. Got it back to the UK. Fucking hell, how hard work was that? If it wasn't, it didn't go till it made about 10,000 RPM, you know? It was all at the top. It was just hard work.
Yeah.
As James Whittam once said about an RS250 Aprilia, it's brilliant that for about half an hour, and then it just gets on your tits. Because the effort required, you know? Yeah, that's what that GSXR was like. The GSXR 600, the first carved one, fucking nightmare.
Was it?
Yeah, just because you were constantly having to rev the fuck out of it. As soon as you throttled off, you had to think about changing down to compensate for those loss of revs so that you could get it to go again.
Yeah.
And another one, a K1200 LT, big fat touring thing, brilliant in South Africa. Got on it at home, but it's like, fuck, how'd you get this thing through all the traffic, you know? Just too big and unwieldy and just didn't fit into the UK. So, yeah, I mean, listen, I jumped on that V-Strom, you know? I might have mentioned that bike already a few times. And I just, at first I went, is this the same sounding bike that I rode in Sardinia? Felt a bit bouncy and a bit, so there was too much weight transfer. It was like the suspension was too soft. And I just got the screwdrivers on. 2 turns, immediate difference. And it felt again like the bike I'd ridden earlier. It may well be that, you know, they'd adjusted it that way anyway. But no, there is nothing like testing a bike on British roads, especially. You know, sometimes we ride along, you know, it's a Friday night and we just want to get home and we have to use the A6 or something, or some manky carriageway that's never free from traffic. There are certain bikes that just feel horrible under those circumstances that you would never, ever detect in a launch. Yeah, I mean, I could go on, but, you know, a road in Spain or Italy or France is never, ever going to feel quite like the stuff that we ride at here.
And you're also sort of, maybe not for you guys that are used to it, but as somebody like me, if you were to, you know, when you get asked if you want to go along to something like one of these launches, I've never done the launch, but I did a thing with Energica at Misano, you know, on their electric bikes. And when you get there, you're like, for me, it was just like, holy fuck, this is amazing. This is rock star. So you're already hyped. So they could give you a scooter that you have to push along and you just be like, this is fucking amazing. I love it. You know, and I'm very aware that I'll get caught up in that initially. And you need to you need to spend some time on a bike and come outside of that environment, like you said, back into your home soil and just ride it every day to get that appreciation for what the bike's actually like.
No, listen, you can get launch fever. I mean, you get treated like a lord, don't you? And it's funny, isn't it? When you're in a better mood, when you're in a very positive, happy mood, you're less likely to be super critical of stuff, even if it's not quite to your liking. There's a good reason why they do what they do. But yes, by the same token, I like to think that I'm still capable of dissing something. Do you know what? It's a pleasure when something comes along that you can diss, because bikes are so sodding good these days. I mean, I've just stopped. I had an NT 1100, long termer, and I never quite gelled with that. It was a big, fat, heavy thing. It was a boring Honda. It had a few stupid features on it. The screen was adjustable. It was a brilliant screen. It was super protective. But in order to adjust it, you had to stop and get off the bike.
Yeah.
Fucking dim. The switch gear, impossible to hit the right switch at the right time. It got me into all sorts of bother until I got a bit better, though I never got fully used to it. And it was just...
I found it wasn't engaging. It just wasn't an engaging bike. Yeah, but it was it was when I got home and the bike had gone and I started editing the video. I'm looking at my speedo and I'm like, holy fuck, I'm cracking on here. I felt like I was doing 50 mile an hour, but I was doing 80, 90. And you're like, Jesus Christ. It didn't feel like I was going that quick.
That's a bit of you could argue that was a point of criticism, couldn't you? I mean, it was deceptively fast.
Yeah.
Quite like the motor. I didn't like the DCT on that one quite as much as well. And I'm a big fan of DCT. It was just a bit too... When I was trying to work it at lower speed, it was just... the bike was too tall and weighty for me, really. I had to try and ride the DCT against the back brake a bit because there were times when I just needed a clutch lever. I need to do that. I just needed a clutch lever, just offer that finer level of control. From off-roading, the clutch is such an important issue. I felt like I needed that a bit on that NT.
I had the manual. I didn't have DCT on the one I had. Yeah.
I mean, I did have a manual while they looked after mine for a while, and I sort of like certain aspects about it, but it's bloody clever, that DCT. I really think if they fit into a Fireblade, then people will wake up to the fact that this is a performance aid, this feature.
You think?
Nothing changes gear as quickly and as slickly as that. I love the fact that you can steam into corners and just go doom, 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 doom.
I loved it on the Goldwing, but I had it on the Africa Twin. What do they call it? Sport Adventure or Venture Sport or something?
The bigger one.
I had it on that, and I couldn't gel with it. I didn't like it. I took that down to like Devon, Cornwall. And when you're doing the switchbacks where you'd be in you want to be in second gear for it, and you just, you're rolling on and off the throttle. Just at a point where I'd roll off the throttle and I'd go to commit into the switchback, it would drop it into first, and I'd be like this all over the shop. I just didn't like it.
Did you adjust it at all, Bruce? Because you've got certain... Did you have it in drive or in sport?
Yeah, I had it in sport. I tried all of the... Drive was fucking horrible. I hated that. So I had it in sport. Yeah. But then I also put it in manual. But when I had it, the manual could still be overridden by the bike. Whereas now I think they've tweaked it. So it can't at all anymore. But then that was in manual. So I'd be in manual coming up to the switchback and it would just drop the gear. And I'd be like, no, just... I'm just as you put the throttle on, it would drop it again.
It's not good when it's changing gear against your wishes, is it?
Yeah. But I think that has all been developed now, and it's better than what I had. But I loved it on the Goldwing. Absolutely loved it on the Gold.
I mean, strictly speaking, they've got DCT on every MotoGP bike. It's a seamless transmission.
Yeah.
They've all got two clutches. you've just got to change gear with your foot because of the rules. And yeah, I think they should put it on the blade, because I think everybody thinks, as soon as you say auto transmission, you just think, it's for fucking fuddy-duddies. That's no use to any man. Things have advanced so much in that respect, haven't they? Like I say, super fast change. Right, why do F1 cars have it then? Why do they drop 7 gears just at the touch of a button?
Yeah.
Because that's the way to go. You know, you human beings can only do so much, can't they? They can't fly planes as well as computers can. So computers are given the job. There are certain, you know.
It's change, though, isn't it? We don't do change. We are resistant to change. We need it over time.
This is something I thought we might talk about, actually. Electronics. I'm a fan of them. They are just some of the things that they allow you to do.
Yeah, especially now with the big performance engines that we've got, these big figures. Most us normal riders, and I'm not including the likes of
MotoGP guys do not have a lot of the electronic aids that they have for no reason. These are fucking 300 horsepower motorbikes, for Christ's sake. You know, being ridden as hard as possible. They need a bit of help.
Yeah.
You know, if you didn't have traction control, people would be just getting spat to the moon every weekend. I mean, there's enough crashes already. But,
make it entertaining, wouldn't it? Jesus. People getting kicked off left, right, centre.
You'd have no grid.
No, not true.
There'd be no riders after round 4, wouldn't there? There'd be an empty grid.
Speaking of grid, track bike.
Oh, yeah.
We didn't answer that one.
No,
have you said track?
GSX 8S with some money in it.
That's right. My apologies. Yes.
Fucking pay attention, lad.
Sorry. That was about 4 hours ago, that bit, wasn't it? So GSX 8S with money chucked at it for track. GSX-R Thou, wasn't it, for the road? Was it GSX Thou?
Yeah, with a Ventura backpack.
Yeah, that's right.
Suzuki tank bag attached.
Yeah, gotcha.
And then
off-road was the Tenere 700?
700, yeah, or Tenere 700 World Raid.
All right, then. So track, what track? Where in the world?
Where in the world? Oh, yeah. Good question. Right, this is going to fucking sound totally weird. Either Mugello or Anglesey.
Okay.
It depends. I think it probably depends on whether I had a penchant for pizza or Welsh cakes as to what the final answer would be. Ideally, I would be helicoptered between both circuits as and when I fancied. Anglesey, I'll tell you, there's a court. Have you ridden there?
No, I've never done Anglesey. I've heard loads of people say it's great, but
really good. Do you know what? I'll tell you what these two tracks and every other good track has in common: undulation. I used to love Canwell Park, less so now because it's a bit narrow and it just feels a bit nadgery. Oulton Park, Anglesey, all have undulations. Stuff like Silverstone, flat, Thruxton, flat. Different appeals, obviously, because they're super fast, but less interesting, less of a challenge, if you like. I'd like to ride at Phillip Island. I've never been there.
Done that. I've done that. I've got one on you. I've done that.
Have you just? What did you do that
on the world trip?
Did you?
Because I was doing it on the Jigsaw, I thought, right, I want to do. The idea was to do a bit of a story. I initially had Riders for Health. Do you remember the charity Riders for Health? I initially had them as my official. Just as my official charity. So I was going to go around all the MotoGP circuits around the world as I did the trip, and the idea was to try and blag a lap of each one if I could. I can't remember why Riders for Health pulled. I can't remember why. It was something to do with Dorna. Dorna, I think, I can't remember what it was. I think I'd used the MotoGP logo in something connected with Riders for Health, and I got an email through in some weird English saying that they were solicitors, and I thought it was spam, thought it was a load of bollocks, so ignored it. And then the Dorna's legal team got onto Riders for Health and told them have no connection with this guy, so they had to pull.
So hang on a minute. What did the original email tell you
basically,
to do?
Stop all use of MotoGP logo, blah 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 blah.
That is a trademark of the modern world as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
Step out of line a fucking micron by a micron, and you'll upset somebody in power. I mean, fuck off. Fuck off.
So in the end, I just thought, right, fuck it. What I'll do is I'll just do whatever circuit is near me when I'm on this, whether it's World Supers or MotoGP. I'm just going to go. If I can get a lap, I'll do a lap, and if I can just get a picture outside the front, I'll just do that. So that's what I did, and I managed to, when I got to Australia, I managed to make some connections through various people that were following by that point, and I ended up going to Phillip Island. I wasn't allowed to take my bike out, but they took me for a spin in their track car. So I got a spin around Phillip Island.
Hang on. 5 minutes ago, you said you were one up on me.
But I've been to Phillip Island.
I've seen it in pictures. I've watched it on telly.
I've watched an onboard on the TV.
Somebody sent me a postcard once. I've been quite lucky with the job to ride a lot of different tracks, actually. 53 so far.
Jesus, wow.
53 so far, yeah.
Cool. Have you done Assen?
Yeah, do you know what? Yes, but no. We used a couple of corners for a test once, so no, really. I would like to, right, if I could, I'd like to do Phillip Island, Laguna Seca.
Oh, yeah.
Suzuka. Kyalami I've done. That was good.
Where's that? Kyalami?
South Africa.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, really good.
Oh,
that was another undulating one.
Yeah.
Where else? Where are the other? Mugello I've done a few times. That's good. I haven't done it Imola. Like to try that. But I have to say, if you gave me a chance to do the TET through any nation or a track day on any of the aforementioned circuits, I'd go for the TET every time.
You're one of these off-road freaks, aren't you? God.
Freak is too strong a term. I'm a convert. And don't forget, I'm new to all this still, really. I've only been doing it for less than 15 years, and there's so much more to do. So the novelty factor is still very much in place. And do you know what? One of the best ways to appreciate motorcycling is to give it a bit of a breather for a while. And I haven't ridden off-road for quite a long time. Several months, I think. I'll remember I've probably done a stint somewhere in the last few weeks, eventually. But today I went out and I reminded myself just how good it was. V-Strom 800, I don't know if I mentioned it.
Was that on the Dunlop Trail Max Raids?
Yeah. Just the job. And I'm looking, I mean, it's funny actually, I was cursing you because I was nervous about coming on tonight.
Can't believe you're nervous.
No, honestly. Do you know what? A lot of people think they know me. I mean, look, outwardly, I'm just this mouthy, opinionated fucker who's super confident, who never gets bothered about anything. I can get very sensitive about a number of issues. I've nearly been in tears a few times this week. Do you watch the Tour de France?
I don't know. My dad does. I don't.
Right. I'm a massive fan of it. As I say, I've never forgotten that Eddie Merckx was the hero, and I've followed it ever since. And this is the big one. And Channel 4, not Channel 4, ITV4 do a very, very good job of covering it. However, all of their adverts, or many of their adverts, are for charity, sort of animal welfare charities. And they show some horrific scenes of dogs, for instance, in the RSPCA adverts who've suffered terrible neglect or abuse.
And straight home that, doesn't it?
Yeah, and to us, definitely. Do you know what? If I saw somebody abusing a dog, I'm not sure I'd be responsible for the actions. And if
you
I
go to town.
caught, I would happily sell tickets for the most horrid execution of anyone who'd been cruel to a dog. And you know what? I reckon I'd sell out.
I think so. I think so. I don't know how people can do it. I don't know how people can do it to animals. I don't get it.
You're flawed, aren't you? I mean,
I'm not a vegan. You know, I eat meat, but I don't how do people take joy out of the suffering of another living creature? I don't get that.
There's something missing from your makeup, isn't it? If you
totally.
I mean, I saw a picture on Facebook the other day. Somebody, there's 4 people with rifles celebrating the fact that they'd shot a lion. Like, great odds, mate. I bet that was a fucking massive challenge. Yeah, I bet you're really feeling a great sense of achievement from that. Just, again, give the lions guns. Just
take the guns away from the hunter, right? Kill it by hand. Let's see who does the best hunter there.
Exactly. Just certain people will never be understood for me.
No,
I mean, we say this, but Putin is far, far worse than any of the aforementioned. He is slaughtering people, innocent people, isn't he, en masse? And he has no conscience. He's bombing hospitals. He's bombing hospitals and schools and public places.
But we're no different. We're no better. We do that.
We did it before, didn't we? Or we do it more subtly, don't we?
We're still doing it. We're still doing it. We've just done it in Iraq and Afghanistan and what's going out in Sudan at the moment.
True.
Do you know we're making money out of all of that? So I think Putin. He's not. He's an animal. He's not a nice person. His actions are abhorrent, 100%. But I don't think we're any different. I don't think our powers that be are any different.
Yeah, I take your point. Stop ruining my arguments, you bugger. Right, let's have another question. Let's get off this. Right, Alan Duncan, question for Mossy. Have you ever tried to hide a bike from returning it to the manufacturer so you could keep it? And if not, which one would you if you thought you would get away with it? Another good question, actually. Do you know what? A few of them, it's a bit incriminating. I hear, rumour has it, that some bikes never went back to their owners because of clerical errors or some general
way.
Do you know what? Right, here's a big difference between the state of the bike industry when I was first started. It was swimming in money. I mean, look. You know when the R1 came out, they couldn't build the buggers fast enough, could they? They sold about 5,000 or more in the first year. I mean, I'd like to have more information actually, because it could have been a greater amount still. Now they sell about 400, don't they? If that. In fact, I think the best seller is the S1000RR, and I think that's only 800 quid. 800 quid, 800 units.
I wish it was 800 quid.
So,
really? Is that all it's selling? 800?
Man, nothing. Well, we don't
countrywide.
Yeah, we don't ride them, do we? We don't care for them anymore.
Wow.
How many does the GS sell? About 8,000, both the standard and the adventure.
Best bike in the world. So yeah,
that's where the market is now. But yes, I've heard of bikes not being returned, test bikes, but I've never been in a position. I tried to buy a V-Strom 650 once because I just gelled with it and it was mine for the years. It became my little puppy. But there was a bit of a cock-up. What's the word beginning with D that... What the definition is? Well, what the hell's this not coming to me? Paperwork. When things become very complex on the paperwork front.
Detracted?
No. Word beginning with D that describes the complex system. I just matter. Something went wrong with the system somewhere, and my request to buy this thing didn't reach the right people's ears, so it went into the system. Test bikes at Suzuki at the end of the year are offered to dealers in an auction, and they take them. I think the price never rises too high. They get bargains, and they just then sell them in their showrooms. So every press bike goes to a punter eventually.
Yeah, I've known a few of
word beginning with B. In fact, the word beginning with D that I was trying to think of is actually bureaucracy.
I was thinking bureaucracy, but I was like, what's got a D in it then? It's the same thing. All right.
Yeah. So some bureaucratic error forced me to move on to something else.
Gotcha. Yeah, I know of some YouTubers actually that have got some steals from press bikes. For sure. Yeah, they've done very well out of that.
Right, who's the lovely man who won't mind me saying that? In fact, he probably will. Actually, I haven't got enough courage to describe it in the fashion that I was originally going to. Fuck. Does he live in the sort of Plymouth area? Lovely man.
Yeah. Lamb chops.
What's Lamb Chop's proper name? I don't know it.
John.
I didn't know that. I just forgot. That's my answer to every bloody call.
Yeah, he's a cracking bloke. I think he's got one of the best channels out there, actually. I think he's flying. He's doing really well at the moment.
Yeah,
he's doing well. Nice guy.
Yeah.
Right, Mr. Giggles. Greetings, gentlemen. 2 questions.
How could you possibly expect me to take you seriously with that sort of statement? Evening, Mr. Giggles. Go ahead. I'm only joking.
Do you think he gets his missus to call him, or whoever, to call him Mr. Giggles? Mr. Giggles. Question 1. Who is the best or your favourite?
Of how many?
Of two. Two questions. Okay, who's the best or your favourite journal?
Oh, Matt Oxley by a mile.
Oh, you said that earlier. Yeah, that's right.
Oxley by a mile. Tell you why. Listen, I've sort of grown up with him. He was the MCN tester whose stuff I used to read all the time. I used to watch him race, and he was bloody good at that. And then he was the man I gave cigarettes to when he went under the four-wheel drive car in South Africa on the Thundercat launch on that crash.
Yeah.
And I said earlier, unless you're in the paddock getting all the information from all the people, I think he's the closest to that person. And I mean, I'll tell you one thing that I have not fathomed. That guy must have a 10-day week or 45-hour day. I cannot believe the level of work that he produces.
Wow.
They are great, in-depth, fully detailed, super credible features that he seems to, I nearly said churn out there, which would have been very disrespectful, that he produces, that this artist, this word artist produces. And do you know what? I'll tell you the irony. If he hears this, he'll bollock me for being so praising of him, you know? Because he's quite a modest chap. And in fact, you know what? I was really embarrassed the other day. I met him at the NEC and I was sort of slightly starstruck. So I ended up asking a load of shit questions.
I was going to ask, is there anyone that you get starstruck with?
Yes. Not any longer. I've got a very different attitude to sort of famous folk and successful folk now. But one of the pictures I gave you was me talking, or listening rather, to Kenny Roberts.
Yeah.
I met him at Sepang once. We were there for a tyre test. And do you know what? I'm listening to him, but internally I'm just going, it's fucking Kenny Roberts, man. Kenny Roberts is talking to us. Kenny Roberts is now answering your fuck Kenny Roberts, man. And I just, when you walk away from a scenario where you don't leave it, do you? You take something away.
Yeah.
As we've talked about some of the places we've visited while we've been traveling, when you take some of that away with you, it's had an effect on you. Kenny Roberts.
Wow. I'm like that. I'm like that with McGuinness. I can't speak to the bloke.
Yeah.
He's just, he's on such a pedestal for me that, like, I've seen him at track days and I've seen him at events, but I've never had the bollocks to go. Yeah, everyone says that. Everyone says that to me, but I'm just like, I can't go up and chat to the bloke because I'd just be like,
I would advise not to, because he'll just call you a wanker straight away.
Yeah, I know.
Are you that nervous wanker who fucking thought I was intimidating?
Yeah. Yeah. Right. So, second question for Mr. Giggles: did you ever work with the great JR? His name seems forgotten, and I'd like to hear any tales.
John Reynolds. I have a very good story about John Reynolds. Right, he's Excellent. A man that I will say straight away that I very much like. It would be a pleasure to talk to him in the next few minutes. He's one of the most polite, considerate racers I've ever met. Really, just a thoroughly decent human being. Awesome. But my John Reynolds story is, in 1987, I'm having a good year on a power valve, right? It's funny, when you're club racing, you concentrate on certain clubs. I was in the Grantham and Pegasus Club and some other that I can't remember. But I generally race at certain circuits like Donington, Mallory, Cadwell, just these Midland circuits. I wouldn't go to Snetterton very often. I wouldn't go to Brands at all. That was that. But me and this other guy in these particular championships that we did, me and Jim Claude, lovely guy, we used to win. You know, we'd line up and either one of us would win. I think I finished outside the top 3 once that year. It was good. I ended up with 2 club championship wins. Really good year. Really enjoyed it. But we're at Donning one year, and last lap, Jim's up the road. He's winning it by a mile. But I'm going to be second until we come into... It's the Foggy S's, but on the national circuit, it doesn't go left, right. I don't know if you know. You come at the end of the straight under what used to be the Dunlop Bridge, and you'd chuck a right and do a left, and then that'd be the finish. National circuit. It doesn't do the Melbourne loop. Right. Anyway, I'm braking for this final chicane, and this fucking kid has the audacity to pass me. He's in a novice jacket, right? Novice. I don't know, what? I was absolutely... I've told him this story, actually. Absolutely taken away. I was incensed. You're not fucking thinking me. Anyway, luckily, I don't think he got the best exit from the chicane, so I just picked him over the line. Anyway, I went up to Jim. I said, "Who the fuck's that novice?" He says, "Oh, you want to look out for him. It's a kid called John Reynolds. He's been racing classic bikes, and he's really quite good. I think he might sort of go fairly far." I said, "Right." And I think
yes.
prediction worked out just right, yeah. But no, I told John that story, and he had a good old giggle about it, you know. But yeah, no, funny moment looking back, definitely. But no, a super nice guy.
When did you stop racing then, or are you still racing now?
No, definitely not. Of course, I'd be racing to be last if I raced now. Basically, I started in 82. I did a meeting in the back end of 81, decided to race, did 82, 83, 4, 5, 6, 7. You know, it was a bit patchy because I used to crash a lot, shocker, I guess. And patching bikes up wasn't something I could do that quickly on the budget that I was on. But yeah, did as complete a season as I could do. Like I say, came together in 87. And then, what did I do? 88 wasn't so clever. I think I tried to move up a notch, and I wasn't. It's a lot different above club racing, you know. As soon as you start doing nationals, much tougher. I can't remember what I did in 88. In 89, I think I did that. It might have been 88 even, that TZR 250 Cup. I think that's what I'm talking about, actually. That was a much tougher championship with a lot of good names in it at national level, at national meetings. And yeah, it's rubbish, just too tough. And I was sort of losing interest a bit. I'm the guy who needs to do well to stimulate further.
Yeah, got you. Yep.
And basically, I was having the arse handed to me. I was basically sort of shown that I was nowhere near as good as I thought I was. So I think in 89, I gave it a miss. And then in 95, when I joined MCN, I got a ride in that Triumph Speed Triple series.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Fucking hell, there was even better riders than I'd ever raced against in that. I mean, I'd look at the grid. Brian Morrison, Mike Edwards, Michael Rutter. There was loads of top quality guys because it paid a load of money, People racing in the superbikes, in the British Superbike Championship, it was probably called something different there, would race in this Triumph series for the money. 2,000 quid for a win.
Where's the money gone? Where's the money gone from the industry?
I think it goes to different people. Listen, there is a lot of money in racing. Look, the paddocks are full of much better equipped and funded teams than ever before. But I think certain riders do okay.
Yeah.
But again, be careful. I'm not fully qualified, but the standard of the paddock and the equipment, look, the budgets to race are, if it wasn't for the sport needs people like Paul Bird for starters, doesn't it? The man who's prepared to put literally millions of quid into racing because that's what it costs. I mean, who's in it these days? I'm just trying to think who. I'm not following it as much as I should be, but this Paul Bird's team, it's effectively a privately funded, works-backed team. Who else have we got?
Is it Fei Hao? Is it Fei Hao?
Yeah, there's another great example. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Another generous individual making it work. Yeah. But in saying that, I mean, super sport and super stock bikes cost an awful lot of money to run, Whole annual budget is like, it's tens of thousands of pounds. Just getting a bike and modifying it and then running the bloody thing. I mean, it's thousands of quid in tyres each meeting, isn't it?
Yeah. Tyres are through the roof at the moment, aren't they?
But there's loads of people affording it, so it's definitely still got the money. But anyway, I did that Triumph Speed Triple thing, and it was rubbish at that, absolutely rubbish. And then the following year, I had to go again. I thought, I'll get better at this. And then somebody offered me a bike to do the TT on. And I went, It's funny, I was sat at my desk at MCN just working away. But from advertising comes up Richard. So you all right? I said, I've got your bike for the TT if you want. I nearly fell off my chair, He says, do you want to do it? And I went, whoa, man. Whoa. That's not a question I can answer for at least half an hour.
Mm-hmm.
If not half a day or half a bloody week. I mean, it's a very big decision to make that, isn't it? To go racing with the TT. It's dangerous for starters. And anyway, I mulled it over and I went back down to see him. We've got more details. And I just thought, do you know what? I'm not going to get that sort of offer again in a hurry. Yeah. Yes, let's do it. And on the back of that was for a Triumph. No, that was not for a Triumph. That was for a Yamaha Thunder race in the production race. It made a comeback in 96 after, I don't know if you know, in 89, Phil Mellor and Steve Henshaw got killed on production bikes, and they stopped doing it after that. But it made a comeback in 96, and that's what I got for that. And then I don't know how this happened, but I got a Honda CBR 600 from Honda, and I got V&M to tune it, so I had two bikes. And it was strange. I was up for it. It was very, very busy trying to sort of fit the MCN work in and prepare for this event. But got on the ferry, and do you know what the funny thing is? Have you ever been?
It's a TT, yeah. Uh-huh.
Okay, you start to see the outline of the island, don't you, as the ferry gets a bit closer. And I'm looking at it and just going, mate, what are you doing? What? This reality bat just went, Evit. And it suddenly occurred to me what I'd signed up for. I was going to do laps of this super dangerous circuit. Jesus Christ, I might get hurt here,
Yeah.
Anyway, luckily for me, I dispelled those thoughts, got on with it, and because it's a busy old do, the TT, isn't it? I mean, they had early morning practice back then as well.
Wow.
And anyway, I became overwhelmed much more positively by being there. And I remember going round on my first ever lap. I got to Crosby and I just went, man, this is surreal. I am riding on the hallowed ground here, you know.
Yeah.
But it was a bit odd, you know. I mean, I'd gone over St Ninian's Crossroads, which is just a few hundred yards from the start, and I rolled off for fear of something coming out. And it took me a while to stop doing that. And I never went on the other side of the road quite readily for quite a while as well.
Yeah.
Because
used to road riding. Yeah, yeah.
Exactly. And it was quite funny, actually. I mean, here's the story. We're on the Thunder race and it would only do 2 laps. And I do 2 laps in the early morning practice, but I don't stop. I keep going. And I don't know why, but I got to Union Mills or somewhere like that, and the fuel light came on. I just went, you wanker, you didn't stop for fucking fuel.
Oh, no.
Anyway, I kept going, and I just thought, well, what are you going to do? Anyway, I just thought, let's just keep going. I'll think of a plan in between trying not to die, you know, at the TT.
Is there a garage open?
Well, in the Glen Helen section, there used to be. So I pulled in. I had MCN leathers on. I said, look, I've run out of fuel. Can you give us a $5 worth? I'll come back later to pay.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, he's putting a $5 worth in. Meanwhile, a few sidecars start going by. They'd started their session. Anyway, I rejoined the circuit. And I got as far as Kirkmichael, you know, but the marshals were going ballistic in rage, fucking waving the flags. I came into the that last straight before you do the right hander going into Kirkmichael. This bloke, the marshals are waving their flags, and one bloke's just going, fucking get over here. You can almost see the gritness.
Yeah.
Anyway, he said, what the fuck are you doing? Anyway, I told him the story. He said, you cannot share the track with sidecars. Just get off the circuit. You cannot do that. Anyway, so I made my way back via the back roads to the paddock and told the story.
Like, where the fuck have you been?
Yeah, exactly, yeah. But yeah, cock up. Anyway, the practice week went well. I did 110 mile an hour lap on the CBR 600. I did 111 on the Thunder race, and I didn't really have any moments. It was all swell. I was riding it like a fast road. Felt comfortable. That comfort didn't last very long. I think it was called the junior race back then. That was delayed again and again because of mist on the mountain. And I started it effectively late afternoon, early evening. Anyway, I did 2 laps, came in to refuel, everything going okay. Didn't know what position I was in, but it was all right. There was no moments. But then I got to Quarry Bends. It used to effectively be a fast switchback, 5th gear, right? I came down the straight, sit up into 5th, do the right, change direction, lost the front. Quite happily admit that I was terrified as I bounced down the track. I just went, mate, I have no idea what's going to happen here. People have been killed there, you know, and people have been killed in a lot of corners at the TT. It's not a place to fall off, you know.
No.
Luckily for me, I just bounce up the track. I don't hit anything at all. I don't go off the tangent. Really lucky. Just lost it at just the right point, so momentum took me up the track rather than off into anything more solid. Anyway, Marshall comes running up from quite a distance. He's not allowed to marshal on the corner. It's too dangerous, you know. Anyway, I gave him the thumbs up, started moving my limbs about to show him I'm okay. He gets to me. I says, you haven't got a cigarette, mate, have you? He said, fucking cigarette. He says, you're getting the helicopter. I said, whoa, man, I'm all right. Went, no, you're getting in the helicopter. He insisted that I go up there. And I went to Normal's Hospital and I got a plaster on a slight cut on my knee. It was fucking too embarrassing to believe.
Not your time, was it? It was not your time.
However, that's a very pertinent remark you made there. That was a dry run for a much bigger crash I was to have 2 days later.
Oh.
I set off in the production race. I think it was an 11 o'clock start or something. And unfortunately, I've got no memory of being in the paddock that day, starting that race, having the monumental crash that I did, getting helicoptered, spending any time in Noble's Hospital. I came to my senses, in inverted commas, in Leicester Royal Infirmary about 10 days after the crash. Yeah,
Jesus.
I was passengered via a little Cessna type thing all the way to the mainland. I've got no recollection of that. I fell off at Creeper Bridge. It's not a difficult corner, but I fell off there because I got completely lost. I thought I was somewhere else. Ian Simpson witnessed it, and I heard that. And I saw him at the MCN Awards late 96. I wasn't very well. I had a compound fracture of the femur. That was a fairly straightforward repair. It had to be done a couple of times, but the head injury that I suffered was the worst thing. In Noble's Hospital, I just talked utter bollocks, quite coherently, but the content was utter nonsense. Mm-hmm. Kept complaining about the pint that I'd ordered not being delivered. Kept saying, I'm not staying here, I've got another race to run, trying to get out of bed. Just, not with it, with it at all. Some would say that I'm yet to recover fully. So,
others never noticed a thing. They were like, yeah, he's normal, that's him.
Do you know what? I would say that took several months. I reckon it took about a year, really, to start acting more like myself, which is why we say some people think that I haven't recovered. But even to this day, I can have trouble with names. I still can't remember the Paget's by Malenko, Man from Whitby. Still can't remember that.
Christ, I forgot all about that. That was right at the start, wasn't it?
I can remember what I've forgotten. Does that make sense? I can remember that I've forgotten it. Anyway, let me finish the TT story.
All right, yeah.
I meet Simpson, right? Ian Simpson. Do you know that name? TT winner, proper good bloke, but big successful guy. For some reason, I'd started in front of him. That shouldn't have been the case. They'd moved me up the starting order. I should have resisted that and said, no, I'm unhappy enough as it is. That's taking the piss. I was enjoying it. It was good. It was an amazing experience. And despite what happened, I have no regrets whatsoever about taking part. Amazing event. And despite its danger and despite my occasional hatred for it, which occurs if somebody gets hurt or worse, I still love it. As I say, I like the fact that it just goes fuck you to all the sensible lot I want it banned. But
me too.
I was having a wee at the MCN Awards and he came in and said, I heard you saw me crash, And he said, Mossy, you don't want to know about it and I certainly don't want to tell you about it. Let's leave it there.
Wow.
And I said, mate, you've seen loads of crashes. He said, I haven't seen one like that. And that's it. I'm not talking to you. Leave it. Anyway, I saw him the following year and he was still a bit reluctant, And then I saw him, I had a ride out with him on the road about a year or two ago. And he gave me the basics. He just said, look, I saw you in the distance, was catching. Just thought I'd nip up the inside under braking at Creeper Bridge. Came up the inside to outbrake you. I jump on the brakes and sit out the fairing. You, unfortunately, just keep it pinned. You clearly didn't know where you were. And then probably not long after, I did realise that I'd cocked things up, grabbed a handful of brake and went down. And I was sort of lucky, really, because the bike flicked me up into the air, so I didn't hit things quite as solidly as I could have, But, spoiled his race, spoiled the race of a few people, actually, because it took a while to get me and the bike cleared from the road. And in the meantime, something like 7 riders had had to come and stop, some for a longer period than others, but all
Jesus.
7 of them then had to set off and battle with each other on a circuit where it's not actually easy to pass, you know. So yeah, that was a bit of a do. Well, how did we get onto the TT?
Jesus Christ.
Doesn't matter.
Well, the question. Hang on, was that the question from Charlie? Oh no, we were talking about JR, weren't we? John Reynolds. No, that was the last question. I don't know how we got onto TT. How do we get onto TT?
Well, I don't know. It's easy, isn't it? I don't know. Few beers, bit of chat. One thing leads to another. Suddenly,
we've covered world politics. We've covered the end of civilization.
What are we on now?
Religion. What about religion? Let's chat. No. Charlie Callard. Evening, gents. Hope you're both well. A couple of questions. First one from Mossy. Have you ever had to go back to a manufacturer head down and tell them you've totaled or damaged a loan bike? Once or twice?
Well, I've had to tell them that, but whether my head has been down, do you know what? It's an occupational hazard, isn't it? If you ride bikes for long enough, and as often as we do, I mean, listen, in the MCN days, Jesus Christ, it was just bike after bike after bike, you know, every so often. I mean, I did 2 in an afternoon once. I got a bit of a ticking off about that. Yeah, but not one was being a bit overzealous. The other one, I had to
go you mean you crashed 2 in an afternoon?
2 in an afternoon, yeah. One was because I was going around a corner in a slightly overzealous fashion, rider error. But listen, they want the pictures with your knee on the floor. Yeah. It was all the rage back then. Far less important now. And the other one, yeah, Christ, we're not bothered about shit like that. We used to go speed testing every week on every bike that we tested. Who cares about that now? You know, every single bike, middle of winter, Brundingthorpe, what was it called? Airfield? I don't know what it was called.
Yeah.
This desolate place in the middle of Leicestershire, freezing your nuts off, doing 100 and whatever this thing would do against the most icy wind imaginable. No, that was a part of the job that was distinctly less than glamorous. But yeah, point I'm making is when you're riding as often for as long as you are, in the conditions that you are, you make mistakes and you fall off. I'm trying to think if I've ever been embarrassed. I mean, I crashed that naked in front of a lot of senior Yamaha staff, I have to say. In fact, of a hell of a lot of people. After saying it was uncrashable or felt uncrashable on video only about 15 minutes to 30 minutes earlier.
Mate. I mean, that's when it's going to happen, isn't it? Once you say stuff like that, that's it. It's cursed now.
You've sealed your fate, haven't you?
Absolutely.
I think quite often it was on the end of a phone because the bikes would get delivered to you. You'd crash them and then the courier would take the wreckage back. And in the meantime,
in the bucket.
Out of courtesy, in inverted commas, you'd tell them that the bike that they gave you isn't quite the shape and general condition. I was saying this the other day. If it could be seen or proven that you were just being an arsehole, you'd wrecked something needlessly, it might be another issue. But they were all... I mean, I'll tell you one of the worst things. You go to launch, and this goes back to launches and why they are in Europe generally or somewhere warmer and hotter. You go there to get decent pictures and grip and conditions to test the bike fully. Then, a few months later, they come to the UK, so you test them in the winter. We do group tests in bloody February or something, you know. And I remember I'm riding the latest Fireblade of the day, and I'm riding it behind the camera car, and suddenly I lose control of it. He's gone over a load of slush that I can't see on this back road, and I went mental at him. I said, "What the hell are you doing down here? We shouldn't be anywhere near a road like this, you know." But
yeah, you get right close, don't you, with the camera cars? I've only done that once or twice, but you are literally riding in the boot, aren't you?
Yeah, you are.
Trying to look like you're going quick.
you get used to that. I did something with Fagan, mind you, a while ago. We did the John O'Groats to Land's End trip.
Oh, yeah, on the Goldwing and the K1600. Yeah, watch that. It's good.
He did some tracking. I had to follow him, but I'm so close to him. And this is the funny thing about tracking, or the dangerous thing about it. If you can't see ahead, you're only reacting to basically this wall of material. It moves. You have to react super quickly. It slows. You have to react super quickly. First time I ever broke a bone, Holland. Do you know what an SZR 660 Yamaha is?
No.
Matters not. Doing a tracking shot, and I'm skidding up to the car, running up to it, jumping on the back brake and putting it sideways. But the speed of the car changed. I had to come off the brake and try and stop normally, but the back just gripped and I flipped off it and busted the bone. So, yeah, it does carry risk. No, I'm trying to think, actually. I think many manufacturers under their breath had probably gone, fucking hell, Chris Moss, he's a fucking destruction. He's a destruction machine. And we're tired of him destroying our bikes. But no, nobody's got too upset. I've seen people upset at the consequence of bikes being crashed, but not by me. There was a tyre test in Almeria once, Bridgestone tyre test, and a lot of bikes were going down, and the Brits were responsible for quite a few of them. And the senior Belgian guy from Bridgestone came storming into the garage and he just said, "What is it with you fucking British? You get as pissed as is humanly possible and spend half of our budget on the booze, and then you go and total our bikes just to ruin the rest of the budget, you know?" Not happy. Not happy.
What did you say? What's your point collar? Mine's a lager, thanks.
I think I said something like, "You just stick to making chocolates and mayonnaise, mate. You'll be all right." I would not have been that insensitive. Look, these bikes, I don't know, they're, particularly for a manufacturer on a launch, they're the latest pride and joy that they're representing. You know, they don't want to be chucked at a million things, but you know, like I say on the South Africa thing, lots of people fell off that don't normally. Things happen, don't they? Motorbikes carry risk. One thing about the Belgian guy, mind you, Gunter, his name was, lovely guy. I totaled an R1200 GS. I chucked it against a mountainside. I hurt myself quite a bit, actually, in doing so. But that bike was his best friend's bike that he'd loaned us for the tyre test.
No.
Gunter had probably said, "Oh, it'll be fine. Don't you worry."
Professional riders.
Do you know what? I wouldn't care. That was a 2-day test and I crashed with less than a mile to go.
Mate. Yeah. I often get asked, like, people that follow the channel and stuff, they go, "Oh, I own such and such a bike. You know, you can have it to do a review, blah, 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 blah." But I just make it par for the course. I'm like, I just don't ride other people's bikes because I just couldn't. Yeah. I would be horrific if you totaled it, or that's someone's pride and joy, and then they're like, "Well, there's a scratch on this now." You know, I'm just like, I don't want that.
Can I tell you another story?
Yeah, mate, we're here for stories. Feel free.
There's a bloke, Peter Marr, he's called, a quiet guy, sort of fairly unassuming chap, and he's got a very trick 955 Ducati. I can't remember its sort of heritage at the time, but it clearly had I think it had a lot of fast by Ferracci bits on it. It was far from standard and it was worth a fortune. Anyway, I'm testing it at Cadwell Park for MCN. And I come out of, do you know Barn Corner? It's the last long right-hander before you go down the start-finish straight.
Which circuit is that?
Cadwell Park.
Right. Yeah. Got you.
I come out with it.
It's got off camber right, isn't it? Off camber. Yeah. Never get that right.
Let me tell you, it was quite easy to crash on this corner. as this story is about to illustrate. I come out of the last right-hander bottom corner and I touch the throttle and it goes, but I think, I've got this. And then I haven't got it. And it just flips me straight into the tarmac. And the bike cartwheeled a bit. It was a bit of a mess. And he was there. Anyway, I get dragged off to the medical centre. And I'm in there for about 10 minutes. So I bashed my head a bit. I was a bit sort of woozy. Anyway, a bit beaten up, but not broken. And he comes in. And I went, Pete, man, I am so sorry. He said, don't worry about that. The insurance will sort that out. And about a minute later, he says, I've got a really trick Honda RC45. Do you want to ride that? And I said, mate, are you sure? I'm the bloke who's just totaled your pride and joy here. And we got to ride that Honda. He was absolutely minted, this guy. And it didn't matter quite so much to him as it might have to anyone else. But, yeah. So
they're the kind of mates you need.
Yeah, but I'm with you. I mean, there's a couple of things, right? I don't like riding someone's personal pride and joy, particularly if they're there. And every time I've ridden something special, like Rossi's bike or Chianari's bike or Torsland's bike, you have a basic rule. Don't just crash this. Do not crash this bike. Don't go anywhere near the crashing point. You end up just being super nervous, wobbling around. I mean, I've got a few pictures of me riding Rossi's bike, and I'm almost upright on it. I daren't tip the thing over. I got 3 laps on it at Catalonia, and you cannot afford to fall off it, A, because it's something so special, and the story's going to be ruined, you know?
Yeah.
All that effort, time and effort and general resource would come to nothing. So, yeah, there are certain times. I don't like riding really expensive bikes either, because you're just aware of just how fancy they are. And it's almost, it's just criminal to harm them in any way. So, yeah, I get a bit nervous about riding fancy stuff.
But that, like, even though you're not pushing those bikes by any stretch of the imagination, what an amazing thing to turn around and say, you know, you've ridden Rossi's bike at Catalonia.
Right. You've just summed it up perfectly there. The thing is, Bruce, it's the memory of the whole occasion that you remember, not just the bike.
Yeah.
Look, you've got a chance to. Look, I dare say 100 people have ridden that bike, but that's still quite a small number, isn't it? I'm talking about in the world, you know. Here's the deal, right? I can remember the whole thing. I'm in a Ford Escort, right? An R-Reg Ford Escort, knackered thing, driving down the A50 at probably 60 miles an hour, just being as far removed from anything thrilling in life that could possibly be. This is the most nondescript journey I'm ever making. I don't know where I've been, but I'm just trying to get home. And the phone goes, and I see that it's Scott Grimsdale from Honda. It's the PR guy. Anyway, I know and like him well, and you always take the call straight away. And he says, "You all right?" That's all right. He says, "Do you want to ride Rossi's GP bike?" And strangely, I shouted out the word yes at top volume, and you have the brief conversation. Do you remember a series called Bikes Allowed? It was a TV series. It was on Men and Motors. Doesn't matter.
Bikes Allowed.
Yeah, we're going to do it. We're going to do it for that. Put the phone down, and that's just the start of it. You start getting giddy, and you just go, I'm going to ride the world's most famous and successful motorcyclist's bike. And I need to phone everyone I know to tell them. And I thought, right, this is a very special occasion, right? And you know when Rossi used to dye his hair or cut it, all sorts of head designs, I got mine dyed bright pink to commemorate this special event.
Seen the picture.
That had to be done. You know, this is a once in a lifetime thing. I mean, listen, I've ridden one other GP bike, and that was for half a lap at Mallory Park. So it didn't quite compare. I've never ridden one since. And no, it was just, you get on the plane. Well, the days and the week or so that ran up to, it's probably 2 weeks. You're sort of nervous and it's just dominating your thought completely. You can't, it's almost like you can't eat or sleep properly until you get on this sort of thing.
Yeah.
But to get to the circuit, I get super nervous then. Really edgy, getting grouchy with people. I'm just concentrating on riding this very, very special thing. And there's loads of HRC guys running about. And I wouldn't care. There's a lot of celeb races. Well, celeb races, a lot of top races like Edgewood, Gibbernow, Biaggi. They're all going to test their own race bikes in that couple of days that we were there for, 2-3 days. We rode the Rossi bike on day one and they rode their bikes in the next 2 days, I think. Anyway, to make the piece for TV, I simply talked to, Momola was another one, I talked to the aforementioned, Agostini as well, talked to him. I just said, look, I'm going to ride this bike. What shall I expect? I know that you've ridden them, before, or you're riding them currently. And just got all their responses. Then got on the thing. We were told that we would only have 3 laps rather than 5, which was a bit of a pain. And yeah, I just wobbled around and then just did a piece to camera where I pretty much went blah, 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 and just
Rossi's bike.
Just blabbing with utter excitement, uncontrollable sort of joy that I'd ridden on this thing, It's one of these things. There's lots of things in life that you're either too busy or too nervous at the time of doing that you can only appreciate fully once you've sort of come away or stopped being involved with that. I'm sure that I'm just trying to think of the very best example that I can. People climbing Mount Everest probably don't really celebrate until they get back down, do they?
Yeah, and you've survived it. Yeah.
They're just a bit too busy with the job, aren't they, of getting to the top of the. You can only truly appreciate it. I'm really appreciating it now. I was too busy sort of trying not to make a mistake on it and getting it right and looking good in the pictures and trying to assess this thing, the like of which I'd never, ever ridden before, But as I said, the overriding factor was its civility. Mental is not the right word. Super fast, but not mental. Anybody could ride it. Anybody could ride it.
Wow, that's really interesting to hear that.
That's as much of a sorted motorcycle as I have ever ridden. Just the most perfect thing, But that's why everyone who got on it did well. Everyone. Mm-hmm. Nobody had a bad result in the RC 211V, I think it was called. But it was good. Right. It made good telly.
From riding Rossi's bike and possibly the best ever bike that's ever been produced. From that, Charlie's second question: why is there a hole in a donut?
Not being a donut manufacturer means I'm not qualified to answer that particular question. There's I'm sure in a nightclub somewhere a comedian who's come up with a good theory. I don't know. Does it make it? Leave it with me. But for the moment, I'm not qualified. I'm sorry. I'll tell you, man. Donut. I don't know if it's true with you, but certain.
Don't you say you don't like donuts? Don't you say you don't? Oh, that's all right. I was going to say we can't be mates anymore. No.
Yeah,
right.
Hear me out. There's a few foods in life, and I include strawberries, yogurt, avocados, and alcohol to a certain degree. I didn't start drinking till I was about 19, despite the fact I was sort of born and raised. Well, I was raised, for want of a better term, in the Northeast. But yeah, I didn't start drinking until late. But yeah, the aforementioned foods didn't appeal to me at all until I tried them in my latter years and went, Oh, that would have been missing. Worcester sauce as well. Another one.
Yeah.
But yeah,
olives.
donuts.
Olives. I was like that. Didn't touch olives till I was a full-on adult, mid to late 20s.
But I had a donut. I'm not saying it was my first ever donut, but I had a donut about 6 months ago. And I went, bloody hell, where's the dance floor? I need to start jigging a bit here in celebration. It was bloody marvellous, especially a jam one. And I had one last week as well. Yeah,
well, I know you'll find this quite hard to believe, Mossy, but I'm fond of a donut or two. But especially being in the old bill, obviously, anytime you were late, if it was your birthday, anything happened, you had to buy the whole team donuts. And I hate mornings. I am not a morning person at all. And bear in mind, I used to have to be up at like 4 a.m. for a 6 o'clock start. For early turn. I was late. If we did 5 shifts, I was probably late 3 or 4 of them. Like, even if it was 5 minutes late, I was just shit at getting in. So I ended up having like quite a healthy account with the bakers on our ground where I used to work at Peckham. So there was a really good bakers over in Nunhead, and these donuts were fucking expensive. They were like £1.50, £1.60 each donut. Bear in mind, you've got 2002, 2003, something like that. So Krispy Kremes were definitely about, but this bakery did their own, and they were beautiful. So you were talking 35, 40 quid for a box of, in fact, no, I think it was about 50 quid for a box of 30 odd donuts to cover the whole team. Now, bear in mind, I'm going in there 3 or 4 times a week. It's a lot of money. She's like, just sleep at the Nick. Just sleep at the Nick. Don't go home.
I was going to say, I mean, you just get another 10 alarm clocks.
In the end, I was just like, I'll like, if you turned up with Tesco's bag of Tesco's donuts, they would just be like, nah, that's not working. Yeah, exactly. We want proper donuts. Got expensive. Right, dude, that is 5.5 hours at the moment. I think we better look at it, summing it up now, and then we'll get you back on for another some point, and we'll take care of all the others.
I must admit, I very much enjoyed it, but I've only told you a fraction of what I could. I mean, this is the time you realise that riding a motorcycle as a journalist for 29 years is, quite unsurprisingly, capable of generating a few tales or two, isn't it?
Absolutely.
I mean, I've recalled quite a lot of stuff that I haven't mentioned for quite a while. But yeah, there's loads more.
Have you enjoyed it?
Big style.
Awesome, because I know you were not nervous, but you were not quite sure what to expect of this, were you?
You know what? I'll tell you what the best bit is. Best bit about it has been just this sort of informal, no script. Mm-hmm. Let's just have a bit of chat, and it doesn't have to be word perfect. It doesn't, I'm glad that I wasn't given any sort of idea of what it was going to be like in advance, in a way. It's all been a bit of a discovery, but as I say, it's the low key, just we're down at the pub, haven't we?
Exactly. That's the whole idea of this, just having a chat. That's all it is.
Yeah, no, good crack.
Beautiful. I'm glad you've enjoyed it.
Any more questions or not?
Mate, we have about another 50 questions. There's shed loads, but bearing in mind it's 10 past midnight.
Okay. I mean, if I can have I'll tell you what, right? Let me have a piss, and then let me go to the lavatory for a recovery break.
Right. We'll do another 2 then. Once you've had a pee break, we'll do another 2, and then that'll be us. See you in a bit, folks.
All right.
Sorry to interrupt, folks. I will be quick. It is sponsor shout-out time. We are sponsored, as always, by Ultimate Add-ons. Bit of a blurb to read out for them. Ultimate Add-ons are the premium manufacturer of mobile phone and action camera mounting solutions for motorcycles, with a kit for any bike and a proven track record of creating products that keep your devices safe, secure, and easily accessible. The Ultimate Add-ons product range is ideal for any rider, from the commuter to the round-the-world adventurer. Why shell out on an expensive GPS system when you could use your smartphone, keeping it charged and within easy reach to take photos of your travels at the same time? Ultimate Add-ons waterproof, shockproof and dustproof tough cases are available for all flagship smartphone models and are designed by riders for riders. Find out why Ride Magazine gives Ultimate Add-ons their coveted Best Buy certification. Keep riding this winter with Ultimate Add-ons. It's all about the journey. Now, folks, if you head to ultimateaddons.com and use the code TeapotOne10, you'll get 10% off. I've got an affiliate link for them as well, which I'll leave down below. So if you listen to the podcast, check out the show notes. If you're watching the vid, have a look at the vid description. And obviously with the affiliate, I also make a slight commission off that. Costs you nothing more. So a massive thanks to Ultimate Add-ons. We are also sponsored by, as always, the Influencer Store. Influencer Store handle all my merch. You can see up there, I've got loads of hats, there's hoodies, there's all sorts of things. So if you head to TeapotOne.com, head to the shop, you can check out all the merchandise, and that is all handled by the folks over at the Influencer Store. The Influencer Store helps you build your brand, big or small, providing you with a solution and apparel. We help you to increase your fan base while supporting you with starting your own influencer clothing line with nothing more than just an idea or design, and there are no hidden costs. For more info, come check us out at theinfluencerstore.co.uk or drop us an email at online@influencerstore.co.uk for more information. Again, there'll be links down below, folks. Lastly, a big shout out to all of you over in the clan, over on Patreon. As always, folks, I keep saying this, but it is true. I literally could not do this full time without your support over there. So a huge, heartfelt thank you from me. If you'd like to go that extra mile and help support both the podcast and the main TeapotOne vid channel, then head to patreon.com/TeapotOne. Again, links down below. A massive thanks to each and every one of you who's listening or watching the podcast. I love doing the podcast. I really do. And I love getting all the feedback from you, from all the various different guests that we've had. If you could be so kind, on whatever platform it is that you're listening or watching the podcast, if you're listening on Apple Podcast or Spotify in particular, you can rate the podcast on there. Obviously, a 5-star rating goes a long way to help boost the podcast up through the ranks. And if you're watching the video, just give it a like, give it a comment, and both video and audio, if you share that with everyone that you think might be interested, that would be a massive help. All right, folks, let's get back to it. My dog's got the massive hump with me. She's not had a play at all night. She's got a massive arsehole with me. Sorry, Pippa. This is going to be a 6-hour podcast, but I'm going to split it into 2. Even then, it's 2 3-hour podcasts.
I'll tell you, I wish you hadn't mentioned the word donut.
I've had my dinner. I'm starving.
Yeah, but appetite is a very strange thing. It can be triggered, can't it?
Yeah,
You've said donut, so I want either a donut or some massive chocolate bar.
Yeah. A word, a sight, a smell, boom, that's it, isn't it? Straight away, you're hungry.
I'm rather relieved, actually. Just remembered I've been down to get some breakfast cereal, which I don't normally eat, actually. So I'll have a bowl of that once this is done, and I'll be happy.
Yeah, I think that's all I've got in here. Right, okay. We'll do 2 more questions, and then that should bring us up to the second, third hour. So, Simon Beale, question for Mossy. What are your thoughts on bike vloggers?
Bike
vloggers? Basically what I do, like the influencers these days.
You know, I think I touched on this earlier. Look, it depends what they say and with what level of or what attempted level of credibility. Look, I'm all for people talking about motorbikes. And ultimately, if people like them, then I can't counter that. But yeah, I'm a bit bothered by some of these people who give it the big I am when they haven't done the apprenticeship, they haven't owned bikes, or they haven't been a biker. They're just giving it a go. I mean, there are times when I wish I was tall, blonde, and had a big set of bloody bazookas, because I could make a lot more money doing that, or being that sort of person.
It's quite annoying at the moment. I find I just feel like the whole bike industry and the social side is going that way at the moment. You know, like I appreciate they're trying to bring women into biking. Yeah, I appreciate that, and I get it. 100% get it. But it just feels like it's just everything's focused on that at the moment.
Yeah, we're living in a very image-focused world, aren't we? On a pretty world. I mean, listen, I've been with Alistair sometimes doing stuff for 44 Teeth or various other. In fact, I'll tell you that, right, the best one that springs to mind. I don't know if you know Aaron from Knox.
No, I don't know.
Right, the body armour people.
No Knox, yeah.
He's one of the chiefs up there, and he produces some bloody nice.
To change me, I've just had to change my earpods because they ran out of power. Hang on, let me connect to them. Bosh, should be there now.
Okay. Do I start that again?
Oh, no, hang on. Sorry, mate. Two ticks.
Sure.
I've just got to change it in preferences. Audio speaker is... can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yeah, lovely. Right, you're back. Beautiful. Yep. Awesome. Sorry, right, yes.
Yeah, I was talking about sometimes whether... How can I say this? Right, when you're working with really good and professional people, right, 44 Teeth lot, they want to do a proper job. But another guy, Aaron from Knox Body Armour, he's got on his website, he's got a channel, a channel featuring tests and various other bike-related stuff. Yeah. And he puts a lot of time and effort. I'm going to be testing the V-Strom and Transalp with him up in the Lake District, which is where he's based.
I've seen him. I've just never met him. I don't think I've met him face to face. Yeah.
Good guy, and a guy who I like working with him because he's conscientious. He wants to do a full-on job, do it to the best of his ability, and he puts a hell of a lot of time and effort. He's got a videographer of his own who he pays to do the best job imaginable. But we're spending a lot of time getting things just right, and I'm almost tempted to say to him, Aaron, are you sure this is worth it? Because most other people don't give a shit. I mean, 44 Teeth like high production qualities, They don't do. I don't know the right terminology for a lot of equipment, but they use good equipment. They get a good result and make sure the final thing that gets published is as good as it can be. And Aaron is very much like that. But I sometimes wonder if they're wasting their time.
Yeah,
because it's a bit like making great food, isn't it? Next to a McDonald's restaurant, you're wasting your time, aren't you? Because people do eat shite. It's almost a waste of time making good music because there's a lot of crappy shit that's being more successful.
Yeah, I totally get. I used to spend so much time on the edit. I used to put so much effort and time into just editing the videos and trying to make sure that, color correcting stuff and trying to level out all the audio and stuff. No one ever noticed. Nobody notices that. You might get the odd message from somebody that is a good editor that goes, I know how much work's gone into that. Cheers. And now, not that I batter through an edit anymore, but I don't painstakingly focus on the minutiae of an edit anymore. It's just get it out.
Well, I mean, look, you'd be the first person to spend loads more hours doing that if the competition were doing it.
Yeah. If there was a benefit to it, yeah.
Exactly. I mean, another thing, food in supermarkets, it's shite, isn't it? It's just nonsense. You have to search for good, healthy food. I mean, it tastes good, I'll grant you that. But we've just become less discerning consumers of all things, haven't we? If it's quick and convenient, it gets the vote.
Yeah, people want that instant gratification, don't they?
Exactly,
I think in life, just in everything, like food's got to be ready now. Even the TV, like remember back in the day where your TV program was on at a set time once a week, and that was when it was on. Now everything's on demand. Everything's demand. I do like that, but there's a lot. There's a lot of tripe on telly. There's a lot of shite on the TV.
Yeah, but some of the most popular stuff is tripe. Who the fuck watches EastEnders avidly?
I know. Even my missus has given up with all that. She used to watch all the soaps.
To some people, it is their life, isn't it?
But then I find YouTube's gone like I used to watch nothing but YouTube. I never used to watch the TV. Now I don't often watch YouTube anymore. And if I do, I've got to admit, I don't really watch motorbike stuff on YouTube anymore. I have a couple of set ones that I'll maybe just click and see they've got a new video out, and I'll watch that. But I kind of find myself, I don't have the time anymore because I'm either editing or filming.
Yeah, it's a bit saturated these days, isn't it? I mean, if you would watch every just bike-related YouTube stuff, you'd be there several hours each evening, wouldn't you?
Yeah. There's so much out there now, isn't there? Yeah. But maybe that's great because it allows people have a nice broad spectrum of different content to watch, I suppose, don't they? And everyone has their set style that they like to watch. And if you get bored with that, well, you watch another one for a while. And I find myself doing that. I come back to channels, I have a little break from it. And then,
listen, far better that we're moaning about that than no bikes being
absolutely
shown to anyone,
Absolutely, yeah.
I tell you, man, YouTube's a fascinating medium, isn't it? I mean, I'll watch a clip of something, and then, of course, it relates to something else. And I can be there for hours, and I'm actually telling myself, mate, this is shite. What are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
But I keep watching it. I mean, the guy he goes around filming outside lots of police stations just to wind the coppers up.
Oh yeah.
And then he blurts out what the law is and the fact that what he's doing is actually legal.
Oh yeah, I've seen them. Yeah.
But that's what he does. Well, there's a few of them. But I'm sort of thinking, why are you doing this, man? But it gets big views, doesn't it?
And he makes good money out of it, so it's worth as well. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, it's the world is a weird place, isn't it? I think as long as you bear that in mind, then everything will make sense. If that isn't a contradiction in terms.
And so, it's like whole social media it's evolving all the time. Like since TikTok's come along, people used to have a sort of viewer retention or an attention span of, I think it was something like 8 to 10 seconds. If you've not grabbed them in 8 to 10 seconds, you've lost them, they've gone. Since the advent of TikTok, you're talking like a couple of seconds now. And everything's had to change accordingly. Like even long form stuff on YouTube, if you want to retain viewers, something's got to be happening on the screen every sort of 3 to 4 seconds.
Yeah, but that's where you get the impact of good-looking people, isn't it? Instant attraction.
Yeah.
Look, I watch stuff.
Obviously.
Exhibit A. Look, I watch stuff because I like the look of the presenter.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Christ, I used to watch.
Shallow.
Guilty.
Yeah, snap.
I used to watch any football show presented by Gabby Logan just to melt at my vision of her. It works. Look, clever people do what they do. Like they employ certain people to do certain things in a particular style. They know how to work us, don't they? They know how to manipulate how to make things attractive, to manipulate our attention and give it. I mean, Christ, in any given day, we probably only have a few hours spare, don't we? So it's a very competitive market trying to get people's attention.
Oh, totally.
But there's a lot of clever and very effective people doing it. I mean, I only avidly watch a bit of TV now. I like comedy stuff like Would I Lie to You and Have I Got News for You? Because I think it's a great British trademark, the sense of humour that we've got. And comedians, to me, are some of the cleverest and admirable sort of people in show business, but yeah, it's a fascinating world, isn't it? That kind of this business of attracting people's attention and seducing them. I mean, the supermarket game, just foodstuffs and the way it's advertised, marketed, displayed in supermarkets.
Yeah.
It's probably one of the most competitive businesses of all. And I'm a bit of a sucker. I just walk around whatever supermarket I'm in, and I'm a victim of all this. And
there's so much psychology behind it, isn't there? About what they display, where, and
they know exactly how my brain does or doesn't work, because I keep going for some of the stuff that I get home and go, what the fuck did you buy that for? At the time, it's looked like the right thing to do. Same with bikes, isn't it? I mean, if you market them and display them in a certain fashion, you do so in just the right place, i.e. the right sort of dealers. There's a whole process going on in our subconscious, isn't there, that we're not necessarily aware of, but we're definitely coming to a decision, the final decision we do, because of various things are being triggered by all the clever people. Or the systems that the clever people have come up with. I mean, look, one of the reasons you buy a Ducati is because it's such a glamorous sort of sexy thing, isn't it? The name. If it said Acme on the tank, you'd be far less interested, and it had no racing heritage or history, even if the bike was really good.
Yeah, it's the package, isn't it? The package that comes with it.
John Bloor did not buy Triumph, did he? Just for the hell of it. He bought that name and all the heritage that goes with it. And he made some fairly basic bikes to begin with, but he capitalised on everything. And now, God, I mean, I was talking about this. I was walking my dog yesterday, and I met this bloke who'd just come out of the pub. And he was a bit worse for wear, but he was talking about Triumphs. And I was saying, look, they're amongst the best stuff on the market, aren't they? Stuff like street triples, just brilliant motorbikes. The quality, the reliability, the performance, they can hold their heads up high. They compete with the very best, and they're doing well, and you can see why.
It's a whole brand now with Triumph, though, isn't it? It's not just about the bikes. It's about the clothing. It's about the luggage. It's about the whole ethos that's going. The whole.
It's just a philosophy, isn't it?
The whole thing that goes like Harley, isn't it? You're buying the brand. You're investing into the brand.
You've probably picked up on a very on the best example of how you seduce people. You create this image and reputation, don't you, that people want to be part of.
Yeah.
I mean, they're quite good in that they're trying to keep customers sort of involved, aren't they? They give them lots of things to do. You'll get Ducati days or Triumph days or, some grand events, isn't there, with the likes of, what's the World Ducati Week? That's a massively popular outing, and that's another attempt, isn't it, to just bring people in and be proud that they're associated with. And look, these guys know how we tick, don't they? That's the art of it, recognising what appeals to people, what's going to move them, what's going to motivate them to spend money. They're clever ones. I mean, I would never, ever like to work in marketing or advertising, but I'd like to spend a bit of time in it to find out what sort of reason, why they employ the tactics that they do, just what the thinking is behind making, Mr. Man in Watford go and buy a Triumph.
It's interesting.
How do we get their money? Is the holy grail, isn't it? People have got money. We want some of it. We want to make them think that we've got something to offer that's worth them parting with the cash. And they do that whilst hundreds of other people are offering other rewarding things of value. I mean, buying a bike, as we were talking about earlier, it's a big deal, isn't it? It's 20 grand.
It's a lot of money now. A lot of money, yeah.
And what does it do? It sits in your garage, sometimes to be used in total. I mean, Christ, how long does it take to put... What was the average annual mileage recorded recently? Was it about 2,700 miles, less than 3,000 miles?
Less than 3,000, isn't it, the average? Yeah.
Phenomenal. How long does that take to accrue? It's not very long in the whole scheme of things, is it? You know, it's probably... I mean, it might be as little as 2%, if not less, of that person's time within the 3 years that they own it, or the year that they own it. If they own it for a year, I bet they're sleeping for X%, they're working for X%, they're going out for X%, they're going to the pub, they're doing lots of other enjoyable things, and then on special occasions, on a Sunday afternoon, they'll get the bike out. I mean, is it true? Please tell me it's not, that certain people just ride to the nearest calf.
Some people do. No. That's what I was saying earlier about, like, my sort of clan community thing I've got around Patreon. There's people that have come on that who were like, that was their biking life before, was the same route to the calf, and all of a sudden they've decided to do something different, and it's just like blown their minds. They're like, oh my God, I didn't know this was available. I didn't I never felt the need to do any of this before, and now they are. And they're out.
That's a different thing. I suppose if it just didn't occur to them, did it? That this amazing thing that they bought for a load of money can actually deliver so much fun.
So much more, The freedom, isn't it? It's the freedom that gets me. That's everything for me.
But mind you, in saying that, there's some hypocrisy involved with me there. Loads of people are telling me to go off-roading. I'm going, stick it up your arse. I'm not doing that. And then one of the first feelings I get after I've been doing it for a while is, why the hell didn't I listen? I've been denying myself, I mean, it wasn't as though I wasn't filling it with other motorcycling stuff, but I've denied myself at least 10 to 20 years of a great opportunity to enjoy myself even more on a motorbike. It's fantastic.
Was that off-roading on the V-Strom, on the Dunlop raid tyres?
What, today? I tell you, must be psychic. I didn't think I'd mentioned that. Yeah, but isn't it funny? Isn't it funny, right? I went out today and I didn't even know how it was going to go. I just set off on this motorcycle. I put these tyres were put on by Dell yesterday, right? So I did my road testing yesterday, and I went out to back it up a bit today, and I thought, do you know what? These things are designed for a bit of off-roading. And for a moment, I had to think where to go, despite the fact I have some great knowledge of massive network of trails around here. I had to think a bit because I needed to ride on some of the easier stuff. But once I got going, I just went, oh, no, I'll go there. And I said about it. And I just went, bloody no, I'm enjoying myself here. I think I said earlier, you have these these obviously happy moments where lots of lights come on, and don't they just go, you are officially enjoying yourself.
Yeah.
Revel in this good mood. I had quite a bit of that today. It was good. And like I say, it reminded me just how much bikes can... Let me tell you another little story. Nico from Motorcycle Sport and Leisure, who I write for, he's no longer the editor, but he used to be the editor at the time. He phones me up and he says, I need you to do a couple of features. And one of them was about mental health. And I'm sort of going, hang on a minute, I write about motorbikes. I'm not a psychiatrist. And he said, look, both Royal Enfield and Triumph are linked to some mental health charities. That's your sort of hook. Anyway, I said about it, and bloody hell, I'll tell you, there's some very disturbing statistics, suicide particularly amongst young men. A lot of people having a hard time.
I get messaged all the time. I get loads of message off of people saying, that what they're going through, and because we've chatted about it on podcast quite a bit, and there's a lot of it going about.
But what of the many disturbing things that I learned, I'm trying to remember. Christ, this guy I spoke to from one of the leading mental health charities connected with Royal Enfield, and I should know because I spent a lot of time talking to him, and I mentioned him in the feature. Christ, what's it called? He was a good guy. He was a guy who rode bikes, and he just said, look, we both realised just how mentally stimulating and how much they can boost, how much bikes can boost mental health, and just stop people going off the rails, really, I mean, I think I had a bit of that today. Listen, I'm not trying to say for a single moment that I'm in trouble, but I went out on my bike today, and the endorphins produced by that will keep me in a good place and fend off any possibility of me looking at things less
in a different mindset. Yeah.
I think that I like the fact that you don't have time to consider much other than what you're doing and the enjoyment that's delivering. I mean, it's funny, booze is a bit like that for me. I like the fact that I can walk into a pub going, woe is me, I've got all these deadlines, Jesus Christ, people aren't paid. The weight of my world on my shoulders. Half a pint in, I just go, what's your problem? Because I just feel at ease, I feel more philosophical. And bikes sort of do that in a different fashion, obviously. But they just allow you that lovely escape from reality, don't they? And when you go off-roading, you do that all the more because you don't see anyone,
So you got even more sort of solitude.
Big style, yeah.
I get a lot of guys who come away on my tours, sort of say that either during the tour or afterwards in feedback. They sort of open up, and some of them are or have experienced a fair amount of mental issues and stuff in their lives, or they might have been going through a bit of depression and stuff. And they're all just like, that's the best medication. Going away with a bunch of like-minded people. And a lot of the time it's in the evening when you're having a beer and you're sat around a table, you're talking with bunch of lads you've never met before in your life. Yeah. And you know what geezers are like. Once you've had a beer or two, some people open up a little bit then, don't they? And you can start venting some of the issues that you might have been going through. I actually was thinking I might start doing, maybe not all tours, making them men only, but certainly doing one or two tours, which are just men only, just so, and going down that route where it's a place for blokes to come away.
I mean, do you think that's more? Is that more likely to allow guys to open up a bit more and feel a bit less censored?
That's my thinking behind it. And that I think. I think blokes generally we act differently if there's a woman around. I've seen it, and I think if you had a tour that is just men only, they'll be a bit more comfortable to open up about any issues that they're maybe going through. And I've had direct feedback from people that were like, I was in a bad place, but that's really helped. And it's like, all right, okay, that's awesome. That's great.
Very lovely thing to hear,
Yeah, definitely.
I've decided that one thing I love witnessing, to the point where I could almost make it into a hobby, is people being happy. I mean, it ranges. You certainly witness it in many, many different forms. You'll see guys on the top of a podium in MotoGP. They're obviously very chuffed. So are the team. It's just a great thing to see people being very happy. The crowd as well. You see a footballer score a goal. You see one of the most lovely places I like being is at the arrivals hall in a big airport. People get off planes. And
reuniting with family.
Just the hugs, the emotion, the tears, the screams, just a fabulous thing to witness. And likewise, if somebody can say that they've got over a bad patch, that's a very nice thing to hear, isn't it? And
yeah, totally.
It's a very hard thing to hear when people aren't doing so well, or if they've made the ultimate sort of
definitely. I always say I've had quite a few mates now that are, opened up and said that they're going through some pretty bad times, and sadly, I've had a couple of mates that have, decided that they'd had enough and made that decision. And I always say to, my mates that are going through it, and they always apologise. I don't want to bring this to your door, and I always say, I'd much rather you moaned and just vented at me now than I get the phone call to say, end off, because there's nothing you can do then, is there?
Exactly. And you just think, the end, isn't it?
Yeah. Just, Christ, I'm not a trained professional in any stretch of the form, but I think
Sorry, was that not a trained professional in any subject?
in any shape or form, yeah. But I think we as in blokes are. I think we're much more. Yeah, but I think we're much more aware of the issue now, and I think it's much more socially accepted for a bloke to turn round and go, "I need help."
You're not a weed, are you? You're not fearing being ridiculed and ordered to man up.
Yeah, it's almost commonplace now, isn't it? And you see people doing it on social media, just going, "I need time off. I need a time apart here," or "I need to chat to somebody." And I think that's a far better place to be in, isn't it, than people just bottling up.
Yeah, big so.
Right, dude, that is 6 hours. I'm done in here. I can't concentrate.
Right.
It's 20 to 1 in the morning, Mossy.
Yeah, but before we close, we need to almost apologise by way of recalling the name of the Paget's rider. And I also feel a bit guilty about forgetting the mental health charity. So can we now Google both of those things to give them a formal...
Absolutely.
So
Whitby, Paget's Honda.
Right. Davy Todd.
Both.
Davy Todd. Right.
Coming straight to you.
Okay. Royal Enfield Mental Health Charity.
Royal Enfield Mental Health Charity.
Do you know what? I nearly got it there. Is it just...
Calm.
Calm, yeah.
Calm Charity.
Now, remind me what CALM stands for.
Come on. My internet is at a snail's pace because we're doing the... Right, CALM, join for... who is CALM? It just keeps saying CALM.
It
doesn't say what it stands for. Royal Enfield Suicide Prevention Charity CALM are joining forces.
Campaign Against Living Miserably.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Right.
So
Bosh.
there we go. Campaign Against Living Miserably, and Davy Todd eventually came to me.
We got there.
I'm blaming Greba Bridge in 1996 for everything. If any defect I have, I normally try and blame on that particular incident. So there you go. Right.
Mate, I have thoroughly enjoyed this evening. Genuinely. It's purely fatigue that is stopping it.
Now, in saying that, is this the record then, the 6 hour chat?
By a long way. I think the one before was 4 and a bit hours. So we've smashed that.
Pathetic attempt.
We smashed that, and we've not even got through the Patreon questions. I think we actually answered 5 or 6 questions.
How many more questions do we have?
At least 1, 2, 3, 4. So there's 4 on that one. There's a host over on Instagram, and there's another stack on Facebook. So yeah. It's a long way.
Well, I think your viewers should feel cheated to the point where you must feel obliged to invite me back.
100%. You're coming back. Definitely.
Can I warn you now that I may mention the V-Strom 800 and the Dunlop Trailmax raid tyres? That is my plan this weekend. I'm going to phone some mates up and see if they can go out. Can I just add this very important thing, actually? I went trail riding by myself today and I broke every rule by doing that. You should never do that.
Really?
Yeah, because if you wobble off, you get stuck under the bike or something, or, for whatever reason you need help, it's either going to be difficult to attain at best, or if you're hidden under the bike or something. No, you shouldn't do it. You go to remote places where you're very unlikely to be seen. And mind you, do you know what I say that? But I go herring around on some of the more remote roads of Wales, and a similar thing can happen, can't it? If you leave the road, you go the other side of an armed core barrier, you might be bloody there a week later.
Well, yes, happened before, hasn't it? It has happened. People have crashed and no one's noticed.
You've got to be a bit selective about where you fall off, actually. There are certain zones. I mean,
so plan it properly, people.
Well, if you've got a crash, if you fall off in the middle of London in the middle of the day, well, yeah, ideally when the traffic's not too bad, if there is such a thing, you've got to get help a bit pronto, aren't you? But yeah, middle of Wales, it might take people a long time to get to you, even the medical people who can help. So I think
don't crash. Just don't crash.
Top advice. Right. I'm going to take that on board.
Right, you're definitely coming back on, Mossy. 100% need you back on. But before we go for this one,
yes,
are there any plugs you want to make other than the Suzuki V-Strom and the Dunlop Trailmax or Raid, whatever they are?
Trailmax Raid tyres.
Are there any shout-outs you want to give? Anything you want to promote? Feel free.
Listen, lots of people look after me. I love the people at Motorcom. It's a PR company that looks after a few of the people that supply me with kit, but they give me work as well. They look after Suzuki. They look after Nevis Marketing, who supplies Shark and Furigan. In fact, they don't supply Furigan anymore, actually. It's an ever-changing market, isn't it?
They've just changed, haven't they?
Yeah. But I don't know. Anybody who loves me, that's narrowed it down a bit, hasn't it? No, I've enjoyed it. And whether I'm commercially appreciative or not on this particular occasion doesn't or shouldn't hinder. I'm rabbiting on now. I'll stop rabbiting on. I'm using words that make no sense. I'm making a noise with words. I'll tell you what. Right, one lot I do want to give a big thumbs up to Knox Body Armour. I mentioned Aaron earlier with his desire to make good stuff, but I like their product as well. In fact, you know what? This year, after 29 years, maybe last year, 27 years it would have been then, or 28, I discovered the ultimate kit to keep me cool and reasonably safe while riding. Ideally, you see that jacket hanging up behind me? That's the top. It's like this meshed Cordura stuff that I've got the trousers as well. And I saw Aaron on a launch wearing it. And I went, are you a road launch, right? And he rides pretty well and fast, this guy. I says, are you all right wearing that stuff? Thinking that it looked too flimsy, Anyway, he said, yeah, it's all approved. He gave me the Knox speak. So I sort of, well, I'm certainly won over enough to ask him for some. And then I crashed that 700 Tenere World Raid thing in it.
Yeah.
And there wasn't a mark on it. Okay, I crashed off-road, but I was down at 50 at least. And it was a loose surface, so it probably didn't get the punishment that it might get on tarmac. But I still feel as though it would protect me to a fair degree. And you do not overheat in it. I mean, I won't today. I don't know if I told you, but I was out trail riding on the V-Strom 800 today.
What tyres were you on?
Dunlops. They've got a new tyre, And here's the thing, right? Dunlop tyres, I used to think they were rubbish.
Did you?
Yeah, for two reasons. All the OE stuff, right, particularly when I first started, they did D202s and D204s and D207s and D208s. They were just rubbish. They came attached to some fancy motorbikes. RC45, that's the reason I crashed one once at Donington, I'm sure. I got to ride Aaron Slight's factory RC45, right? Big money, super fast, super powerful thing, but shitty weather conditions, not good at all. But they had the standard production bike there as well. And I said, look, just for pictures, can I go around Melbourne Loop on it? I'd ridden one before. I knew what it was all about. I just wanted to have pictorial evidence that I'd ridden one on the same day as I'd ridden the factory bike, or the factory racer. Yeah, go ahead. First pass, coming out of Melbourne Loop, off, high-sided it. But I think it had a bit of a fueling problem. I'm making some good excuses. It had a rider problem, obviously, but I think the power came in a bit sharpish, and these tyres were just rubbish. So I'm under the impression Dunlops, and there was no PR man either. There's nobody to pester. So you went to Metzler, you went to Pirelli, you went to Michelin. You just went to anyone else because Dunlop didn't do anything, and you just got the impression that the tyres were rubbish because the OEs were so bad. But Dave Plummer moved in at Dunlop as the PR man, and I started sampling the aftermarket rubber. Jesus, it's really good.
Yeah.
I mean, Meridians, Mutants, Missions, these latest Trail Max range, I may have mentioned this, really good. I mean, that's a bit of a step up for me for a 50-50 tyre because it's so good on the road. I mean, you need to get used to it a bit because it's, I did on the V-Strom, it just moves about a bit, but you get attuned to that and realise that doesn't mean to say you're going down and you can keep pushing. And no, I've had a proper time on it today. Like I said, I like the tyres, but I like what they allow you to do. I'm adding another, network of routes via the off-road trails to what can give me a bit of pleasure,
I'm looking forward to trying them at some point. Hopefully get a set on this year.
I mean, are you going, when you do this, what did you say?
ACT.
Oh, that's it.
I think that's October at the moment.
Yeah, get some for that.
Yeah, was my plan. Is to get a set and do it on there.
And which bike will you use?
GS. Oh,
you said that. You said that again, actually. And do you know what? If I ask you the question again, you'll probably say it again. I would like to do some of that with you.
Well, come and do it then. I'm doing it. I'm doing it with the TAM podcast lads. So
I'll tell you, Wales is just up the road from me.
Right. Well, I'll give you a shout then. You can come with us. Come and do it.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Right, Mossy, I'm going to have to go, mate. I am falling asleep here. I'm knackered. Sorry.
You're a young boy trying to play a man's game, obviously.
I'm old. It's 10 to 1 in the morning.
You're not as old as me. 10 to 1, is that right? What time did we start?
20 past 6 this evening. Yesterday evening.
We've got to keep going till 1.
No, I'm done. I'm done. Right, till the next time. You're coming back on. Do you have any socials at all that people can follow?
No, I'm all right, actually. I'm on Facebook, but I'm a bit of a stalker rather than
Gotcha.
Sort of publisher. Maybe I should use that a bit more, actually. I need to talk to a man like you who's in on the scene with all sorts of this
TikTok. That's where all the kids are. TikTok.
Yeah, but
no, don't do TikTok.
No. Like, strictly speaking, as a professional, you should go where the business is, shouldn't you?
Well, I've been on TikTok, but I just don't. Oh God, I don't want to get in too much detail with it. But basically, when you sign up with TikTok, you're basically their terms and conditions. You're giving them full access to not just the content you put on TikTok, but everything on your phone. Everything. They have full control over everything on your phone. So I came off that. I've still got an account on there somewhere, but I don't use it.
What do you mean?
Delete
What do you mean by full access in this instance?
Everything that's on your phone, they've got full control of your camera, your microphone. They've got full control of all content that's on your phone. Everything. It's why, like, America was looking at banning TikTok because it was such a security breach. They're just like,
not just that, but isn't that what's the latest term used for individuals' privacy? What's the
but in the terms and conditions of signing up, you're accepting all that, but nobody was reading the terms and conditions, but it's all there. Yeah. So
I never knew that.
I ain't got enough time for all these different social platforms. It's bad enough YouTube. I don't really use Facebook that much anymore, to be honest. I do most stuff through Instagram now. And Patreon. Right. So if people need to get in touch with you, how can they do that?
There's a point. I'm not going to give my phone number. I'm certainly not going to give my address. Well, I mean, Facebook. What did I say it was? Chris Mossy in brackets, I think I said.
It is. I'll put links down below, folks. So if you're listening to the podcast, check out show notes. If you're watching the vid, it'll be in the description there.
I'm a very shy, retiring type who likes to live alone.
Folks, I hope you've enjoyed this one. I've loved every hour of it. We smashed through the record here. It's almost 6.5 hours. there will be a part 3 coming. We'll sort that out, won't we, mate? We'll get
part 3.
Yeah, well, because I'm going to split this one into 2 parts.
Oh, right. There you go, yeah.
There will be a part 3 coming where we'll finish these questions and we'll move on to Instagram and Facebook and get them done. Massive thanks to all of you that have left some questions.
And I'll have way more stories to tell by then, I'm sure.
And we might actually, there's loads of stuff which we've not even spoken about.
Indeed.
Right. Okay, folks, hope you've enjoyed this one. Congratulations if you've seen this all the way to the end. You're my kind of people. As we always say, keep doing your thing. Look after those that you love. Get on out there whenever you can. But most importantly, live your life. Woo-ha!
Why I? Au revoir.